morning.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Here.
Commissioner Flores. Here. Mayor Marino.
Here.
Commissioner Powell.
Here.
Commissioner Sachs.
Here.
Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
And Commissioner Woodward.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've asked Commissioner Flores to do the invocation and lead us in the pledge. If you could all stand, please.
Father, help us be sensitive to what is happening to those around us. Make us aware of the concerns of others and guide us through the decision process that is before us today. Give us the strength and the courage to do what's best for all of those who come before us. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
Madam Mayor, we do. I'll direct you to our additions, deletions, and substitution sheet. On page 32, 4F has been deleted and moved to the July 8th, 2025 Bcc meeting. That's the Doug Wise commendation. On page 20, item 3J1 has a revised motion title and summary and is being moved to 7A1, and that is regarding the appointment of one at-large member to the Planning Commission for a term of June 4th to 2025 to June 6th, 2028. On page 38, on 6C5, we have an add-on resolution that was directed by the Board of County Commissioners at the zoning meeting on Thursday, May 22nd, and that's the resolution condemning the killings of Yaron Lisinski and Sarah Pilgrim in Washington, D.C., denouncing the rising threat of anti-Semitism and hate. Also on page 39, item 6D1, a revised motion title and summary from the county attorney, and this is looking for board directions addressing an executive order from the President of the United States on gender identity, and then an approval of an emergency ordinance to correspond to that board direction. That is our addition, deletion, and substitution sheet that we have for you.
May I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Madam Mayor, if I might, just one item on the consent that I'd like to bring to the board's attention, and that is on page 7, item 3A1. We were informed this morning that of the list of county administrator candidates, that one of those candidates has withdrawn from the process, and we have included in the summary that there were 5 that were forwarded to the BCC. So we would just request that maybe we move this from the consent agenda and take it up after the adoption of the consent agenda to have a conversation and adoption of that separately.
So we're going to pull it off consent. May I get a motion to pull it off consent, please?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to pull that off consent. We'll move that to talk about right after consent is approved. May I have a motion to, we approved the agenda as amended. No, we didn't. We had a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with pulling item 3A1.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that motion carries 7-0.
Mayor.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to ask that we reorder the agenda after we just approved it to move item 6C5 in front of 6A1.
What does 6C5 consist of?
That's the resolution condemning the deaths of,
You want to do that first?
yes.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Weiss, a second from the Vice Mayor. All in favor? All opposed? See that motion carries 7-0. Okay. Thank you. So we'll take up the item we pulled from consent.
And is David in Con here? Is he okay? Stepped away? That's okay. Madam Mayor, we were informed, or Mr. Khan was informed, our HR director, this morning via email, that the candidate for the administrator position, Mr. Johnson from Georgia, had expressed that he was going to be withdrawing from the process for further consideration. And so it would be our intent to just reflect that in the summary of this item. We were bringing back to you with this a codification for the interview of 5 applicants. Instead, that will be 4 applicants now. And we just wanted to make sure that we were clear about that in the beginning of the meeting, because that will be reflected and impact the discussion we have on regular agenda on the other item.
Madam Mayor, I'll move the updated list.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs, your light is on.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Bonlaren, I'm looking at the candidates. Could you name the ones which remain today?
The 4 candidates that remain today are Mr. Patrick Rudder, Ms. Isami Ayala Colazo, Mr. Keith Klingsdale, and Mr. Joseph Abruzzo.
Okay. So Mr. Cornell Allen Wesley is not included,
Correct.
and neither is Adrian Jones,
Correct.
or now Mr. Eric Johnson.
Correct.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just
You're
wanted to
welcome.
clarify that.
So I had a motion from the Vice Mayor. Did I get a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Flores. All in favor? All opposed? See that motion carries with the elimination of 5 and making it 4. Okay. We are now on to special presentations.
Madam Mayor, do we need further discussion on how we are going to handle those 4 applicants?
Later on in the agenda.
Later in the agenda?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, we have special presentations. District 5, would you like to go ahead and do the first Canine Therapy Team proclamation?
I'd be honored, as long as Hank is ready. I don't know. Right? Okay, good. Thank you. I'm going to take the left side. Good. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really proud and honored to do this today. Is my microphone on? It is? Okay, very good. I'd like to call up, please, Chief Patrick Kennedy, Chief David Derrida, and especially Hank, the dog. Just in case you wondered what this is all about. Chief Coyle, Captain Brian Bojo, Steve Newell, Fire Rescue Driver Operator, and Eddie Guerrero, Broadcast Facility Coordinator, and anyone else who's wearing the uniform of our firefighters today. Come on up. I see the one who's wearing the badge is right here in the front. Ladies and gentlemen, today we recognize Palm Beach County's Fire Rescue First Canine Therapy Team. Whereas Palm Beach County Fire Rescue Fire Marshal Chief David Derrida and American Kennel Club registered therapy dog, Mr. Hank, hold law enforcement investigative therapy canine certification from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and the Brevard County Sheriff's Department. And whereas Hank is I'm going to give his age, 6-year-old English Labrador Retriever with a gentle and soothing disposition, whose training and demeanor give him an exceptional ability to work with children with specialized needs and adults with emotional needs. Whereas Chief Derrida and Hank are the first Therapy Canine Team, members of the Local 2928 Support Team, responding after critical incidents to provide emotional and behavioral support to fire rescue personnel and family members. Whereas Chief Dorita and Hank have more than 100 hours in training in the field of autism therapy, routinely presenting at events promoting fire safety, community safety, which are all outreach initiatives, part of Palm Beach County Fire Rescue's Community Risk Reduction Division. And whereas the International Association of Firefighters Center of Excellence recognizes the profound impact four-legged animals have on individuals and communities, and how their unique abilities help to foster resilience, well-being. I'm going to need them in my office. This is wonderful. So we are declaring May, now she's getting excited, National Mental Health Awareness Month, a time dedicated to increasing the public's awareness and understanding of mental and behavioral wellness while reducing associated stigma. And whereas Canine Hank's love is unconditional, the smiles he creates are contagious, and the connections he fosters are endless. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners, assembled in regular session on the 3rd day of June 2025, that in Palm Beach County, the board hereby recognizes Palm Beach County Fire Rescue's first canine therapy team, and I'd like to say in honor of the first canine therapy dog, may I call him Officer Hank at this time. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'd like to have, the Chief Kennedy and Officer Dorita, Chief Dorita.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Interim Administrator Bonlaren, thank you. Thank you for today and this recognition. Commissioner Sachs, thank you for recognizing Hank today. The board has always been supportive of the mental health and the work that our people do on a daily basis selflessly. IAFF Local 2928 President Newsom and I align in one place all the time, and that is the health and wellness of our employees. And this is one place that has evolved since 2022. Our peer support team, which we have our chaplain here and our peer support leader here, we have been working on this since 2022. With the help of risk management, we have Hank on board. And I want to say thank you for that. Today, there's 18 members of that peer support team that go out in moments of crisis that really is a job-related occupational hazard. And they really bring calm to the chaos for our people and connect them to services. I want to say that I'm reminded by my dog trainer all the time, if things are going well, it's the dog. If they're not going well, it's the handler. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Dorita.
Good morning, Commissioners. Not very much more to say that Chief Kennedy hasn't already discussed. The smart end of the leash is at the collar. But this is building a foundation for future expansion. And I think with the mental health issues and the autism that he works, his specialty with the children during their emotional needs, it's a long time coming, hundreds and hundreds of hours, but I think you'll see if you can come out to events that it does work. And I want to thank you very much for all of that.
Just want everybody to know that the most well-behaved person here is at the other end of the leash. Thank you. And I want to also state that there is a possibility that our dogs at Animal Care and Control, our county shelter, could be used one day as therapy dogs for our firefighters as well. And that way Hank will have a companion with him. So we'll take some pictures. Thank you, Commissioner Flores. All right. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. While they're taking their picture, we're going to proclaim Caribbean American Heritage Month. And I'm going to invite Club Socio Cultural Dominicano, President Sunilda Cepeda to come up. Cuban American Club President Jaime Serra, and Elena Munoz. And from the Puerto Rico Cultural Society of Palm Beach County, President Carmen Betancourt, Israel Velez, Esther Vidal, Josephine Robles, and Sonia Santiago to come up. Declaring June 2025 as National Caribbean American Heritage Month, whereas for centuries, individuals and families from the Caribbean nations have arrived on America's shore, some forcibly brought through the inhumanity of slavery, and others who migrated voluntarily, driven by hope and determination to build a better future in a new land. And whereas across generations, Caribbean Americans have worked tirelessly to ensure that their future generations enjoy the freedom to shape their own destinies, and during the National Caribbean American Heritage Month, we honor their powerful stories and enduring legacies. And whereas Caribbean Americans have profoundly influenced every sector of American life, enriching our cultural fabric as groundbreaking artists and writers, enhancing innovation as scientists and engineers, contributing to economic vitality as entrepreneurs, championing justice as civic leaders, and protecting our values in military service at home and abroad. And whereas the accomplishments of Caribbean Americans reflect the strength, resilience, and ambition that define the American spirit, and their lives
So glad what you do.
and their lived experiences serve as a testament to the enduring belief that with equal opportunity, everyone can achieve greatness. And whereas, as we recognize the extensive impact of Caribbean American communities on our nation's history and growth, we also recommit to strengthening our shared values and deepening the bond of friendship with our Caribbean neighbors. And whereas Palm Beach County is proud to be home to esteemed cultural organizations such as Cuban American Club, Club Sociocultural Dominicano de Palm Beach, and the Puerto Rican Cultural Society of Palm Beach, which is actively preserve and celebrates and pass on Caribbean traditions and heritage. And whereas we acknowledge and commend their unwavering dedication to fostering pride, unity, and cross-cultural understanding throughout the region. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this third day of June 2025, that June 2025 in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed National Caribbean American Heritage Month. Does anyone want to say a word?
Good morning. Buenos días.
Buenos días.
En nombre del Club Sociocultural Dominicano de Palm Beach, agradecemos profundamente a la Junta de Comisionados del Condado de Palm Beach por esta valiosa proclamación. Desde nuestra fundación en el 2011, como organización sin fines de lucro, hemos trabajado para mantener viva la cultura dominicana y asegurar que nuestra comunidad esté presentada con orgullo en este condado. Este reconocimiento nos motiva a seguir adelante con más fuerza y compromiso. Gracias por valorar nuestra presencia y nuestro aporte. Que viva la comunidad dominicana en Palm Beach. Thank you.
Muy buenos días. On behalf of the Dominican Social Cultural Club of Palm Beach, we sincerely thank the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County for this meaningful proclamation. Since our founding in 2011 as a non-profit organization, we have been committed to preserving Dominican culture and ensuring our community is proudly represented in this county. This recognition inspires us to continue our mission with even greater dedication. Thank you so much for honoring our presence and contributions. Long live Dominican community in Palm Beach.
Good morning. I get a little bit emotional, so it's a little hard for me. But I represent the Cuban American Club. We've been here for 54 years. And thank you so much for the proclamation and recognize our job. So thank you very much to all of them. And Mr. Flores, thank you very much. I can't talk as like them because it's a little bit hard for me to express, but I am so proud of my club, and in behalf of our members and my board, thank you very much. It's a wonderful day today. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Carmen Betancourt, and I'm the president of the Puerto Rico Cultural Society of Palm Beach County. I'm going to be brief, but I want to thank you all for this recognition. We've worked hard to bring our county together, our people, help them wherever help is needed, and promote bringing them together, different activities, music, helping with the recovery efforts for the storm season. Anything that we can help out with, we will. Giving scholarships to students that of low income. This year we gave out 3 scholarships so that they can go on their way to a better life. So I thank you for this recognition, and this will really help us move forward with pride. More.
Good morning. And as they're taking their pictures, I would like to ask that Brian Boysaw, Joe Gaughan, Edith Bush, Charlene Farrington, Jennifer Cirillo, Tammy Fields, Charles Heggie join me. And I'd also like to call on my colleague, Commissioner Bobby Powell, to join me as well. And Mr. Johnson. We are declaring June 7th, 2025 as Mr. Henry Simmons Remembrance Day. Whereas Henry Simmons, a black man and a U.S. military veteran, was taken from the West Palm Beach boarding house where he lived with his wife Ethel by a terror mob of men at 3 a.m. on June 7th, 1923. He had a cloth tied over his head and was shoved into the back of a car. And at the intersection of North County Road and Barton Avenue in Palm Beach, Henry Simmons' body, beaten, shot, and hung, was found by a former coworker. And whereas Henry Simmons was not a suspect of any crime, and whereas no one was held responsible for the lynching of Henry Simmons, whereas in respectful memory of the thousands across America and more than 300 in Florida, and the 2 people recorded here in Palm Beach County who were denied justice by racial terrorism lynching between 1880 and 1940, we pay tribute to these victims of hatred, prejudice, and ignorance. Whereas leaders of our county, we seek to give voice to the countless Palm Beach County residents, past and present, who have struggled under the burden of injustice. Whereas a group of community-minded Palm Beach County citizens formed a community remembrance project coalition working with the Equal Justice Initiative of Montgomery, Alabama on education, engagement, and remembrance work in our community. And whereas a soil collection ceremony on February 21st, 2025 remembered Mr. Henry Simmons, A jar of this soil will be added to the Legacy Museum in Montgomery, which has been visited by more than 2 million people. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this third day of June 2025, that June 7th, 2025 in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed Mr. Henry Simmons Remembrance Day.
Good morning, Commissioner Wise. Thank you so much for your leadership as we celebrate and commemorate Henry Simmons and his wife, Ethel Simmons. Commissioner Powell, thank you also so much for those in attendance. This is the jar of soil that we will be taking to join with other soil specimens in Alabama. Everybody's able, everybody's not willing. We're just so thankful and appreciative for the Commission at large, their participation and support of this very important project. This is American history, it's West Palm Beach history, and we're so thankful. I'm so proud of my coalition members and all the support that we receive, and we're just ask that you continue to support us. We are not only asking, but we're inviting everyone to support our diverse, very diverse group, such an important part of our history, and we just ask that everybody be mindful. You can follow us on our website, the Palm Beach County Community Remembrance Project. We give scholarships for writing projects, we give art projects, we give scholarships for that. So in addition to preserving this very important history, we are just trying to make this a part of our fabric here in Palm Beach County. So thank you again for all of your support.
Thank you for your leadership.
I really wanted to be part of that picture, but the show must move on, and I commend you on the work that you guys are doing. While they are taking their picture, I am declaring June 2025 as Pride Month. I'm asking anybody from Compass to come forward to receive the proclamation. All right, whereas Palm Beach County is a welcoming, inclusive community where diversity is celebrated and where all residents, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression, deserve dignity, respect, and equal access to opportunity. And whereas Compass Community Center is commended for having served as a beacon of hope and strength in Palm Beach County and South Florida for 35 years, providing life-saving services to the LGBTQ plus individuals and those impacted by HIV and AIDS, while creating a safe, affirming environment for all. And whereas Pride Month is an annual observance celebrating the achievements, culture, and resilience of the LGBTQ plus communities, and the Compass Community Center has long been at the forefront of the celebration throughout events such as Pride Fest of Lake Worth and Palm Beach's one of the largest outreach events in Florida, bringing visibility and unity to the diverse community. And whereas Compass Community Center was born out of activism and compassion during the HIV/AIDS crisis beginning in 1988 as the Stop AIDS Project of South Florida, and evolving into the county's first gay and lesbian community center in 1992 to meet the growing needs for education, advocacy, and direct services in the face of stigma and discrimination. And whereas the mission of the center is to engage, empower, and enrich lives of LGBTQ plus people and those impacted by HIV and AIDS. Through its leadership, education, case management, and youth program, it continues to connect more than 25,000 people annually to essential health and wellness services in a safe and welcoming space. And whereas Palm Beach County recognizes that the work of Compass Community Center is essential to our progress as a compassionate, equitable, and informed community, and supports the ongoing mission to serve as a model for community building, health equity, and pride locally and beyond. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this third day of June 2025, that June 2025 in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed Pride Month.
Thank you for the invitation here today, Commissioner Flores. Good morning, Commissioners. On behalf of Compass and the entire LGBTQIA community, I want to thank you today for this proclamation because it centers visibility. Visibility honors our history, and Pride, as we all know, was born from protest. From Stonewall riots to ACT UP, visibility has always been a tool of resistance, a way to seek justice and drive change. So visibility during Pride Month is not just about being seen, it's about being recognized, respected, and remembered. And so whether you are LGBTQ identified or a loud and proud ally, which we have many here today, we live openly and proudly. It affirms our identity, it builds community, and it says to every person, especially our young people, that you matter, that we all matter. So thank you to the Commission of leading the charge with this proclamation and your visible support of the communities that you serve throughout the entire year. During Pride Month, every month we show up and we stand tall and shine bright. And so if you are also willing to do so, you can join us for our adult prom this Saturday, June 20th at the Kravis Center, where we will celebrate Compass's 28th Stonewall Ball. If you cannot join us on June 28th at the Kravis Center, where we will be honoring Dr. Alina Alonso this year with the Compass Leadership Award, and this year's recipient of the Michael Brown Faces of the Community Award will be Kimberly Rommel Enright of the Palm Beach County Legal Aid Society. Both of these women have led the charge towards social justice with grace and grit. You can join us throughout the county at the Norton, at the meat market with the Palm Beach County Human Rights Council, as well as this Saturday at the Peach in downtown West Palm Beach for Transpire Helps Pride on the Block celebration. So we're happy to celebrate Pride Month with all of you. So thank you again.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I'll be bringing you a proclamation with regard to Juneteenth. I'd like to have Dr. James Green of Community Services, Emmanuel Perry of the Tourist Development Council, Ivan Maldonado, Palm Tran, Edith Bush of the Martin Luther King Coordinating Committee, and any others who are here for the Juneteenth proclamation to assemble at the front.
Let's see if our new administrator can get that.
Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring enslaved people shall be free. And the 13th Amendment was passed by Congress on January 31st, 1865. Whereas Juneteenth is a commemoration, let's try that again, a commemoration celebrating the emancipation of those who were kept in bondage in Texas 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And on June 19th, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger led troops into Galveston, Texas to announce the end of the Civil War and the end of the institution of slavery. Thousands of enslaved people in Texas were among the last to learn of their liberation. And whereas the commemorations that began in Texas spread around the nation, with other communities joining in celebration of this milestone in the journey to freedom for all. And whereas Palm Beach County Community Services Department and Palm Tran are proud to celebrate Juneteenth and will host a cultural tour on June 19, 2025, highlighting the history of African Americans in Palm Beach County and their sacrifices and contributions to our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this third day of June 2025, that June 19th, 2025 in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed Juneteenth Day.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Interim Administrator Todd Valerian. I just want to, first of all, acknowledge our partners who are here. We have PalmTran, and we have the Tourist Development Council, who has been partnering with us for this history and cultural tour, and so I'll give them a moment to say a few words. And then a lot of the sites that we're visiting are represented here today as well. I want to note one thing for the record. The tour will take place on June 16th from 8 to 5, and you're all welcome to participate. It is a wonderful opportunity to learn about the historical contributions of many of our pioneers who have really helped to cultivate the community that we have today. It's an opportunity for government to build trust with community members, because we know that change happens at the speed of trust, and for us to be able to tailor our programming and some of our policies, if you will, to really meet the needs of our community. It's a way to better understand the needs of our local community. And so we invite you to come out and participate on June 16th, this History and Culture Tour. And I'm going to invite Emmanuel and Ivan up if they want to say a few words.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, County Administrator, Commissioners. It's truly an honor and privilege to be here this morning to celebrate something that's rich and culturally appropriate for our county. As we look to continue to expand the cultural activity within our county, we want to make sure we highlight everything for everyone in Palm Beach County. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, everyone here. Really, we are truly happy to be part of this initiative. It's something that each of our staff members were very happy to be involved with. It represents our team, our staff, our community, the people that we serve, and we're just happy to be part of this initiative. Thank you.
Okay. Oh. At this time, I'll take Brittany McAfee, Chris Aru, Tiffany Green, and Denasia Young. Brittany is the co-founder and chief of technology. Chris is the director of marketing. Tiffany Green, director of entertainment, and Denasia Young, director of activations. This is honoring Juneteenth of Palm Beach County, Inc. for its cultural impact on Palm Beach County. Whereas Juneteenth of PBC Incorporated was founded in 2021 to celebrate African American history and culture, address systemic inequalities, and empower the Black community in Palm Beach County. Since its inception, the organization has created annual celebrations, economic opportunities, and educational initiatives that promote heritage, unity, and empowerment. And whereas the annual Juneteenth Unity Black Excellence Festival is now in its 5th year, features live music, local vendors, art exhibits, and activities for all ages. The celebration strengthens the local economy by supporting small businesses and bringing thousands of attendees together in cultural appreciation. And whereas the festival also serves as a platform to educate and engage the community through history, entrepreneurship, and wellness programs. And whereas Juneteenth of Palm Beach County Incorporated has launched an impactful slate of initiatives and programs for the 2025 designed to empower and educate the community, including the Celebrity Readers of the Month program, which is a literacy initiative spotlighting global authors while connecting local and national celebrities with youth to inspire a love for reading. Juneteenth of PBC Scholarship Program, supporting students attending historically Black colleges and universities, and Culture Clinic program that is committed to providing youth with a space to explore entrepreneurship, academics, robotics, and global cultures, equipping them with the knowledge and skills to thrive in a diverse, interconnected world and succeed in the global economy. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this 3rd day of June 2025, that the board is hereby honoring Juneteenth of PBC Inc. for its cultural impact on Palm Beach County. Thank you.
Thank you so much. On behalf of, my name is Brittany McAfee. On behalf of Juneteenth of PBC, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to the mayor, vice mayor, commissioners, and especially Commissioner Powell. And on the behalf of my executive director, Sakina Kelly, who could not be here today, we just want to thank you for your recognition of Juneteenth and the proclamation today. It affirms that our cultural contributions we've made to the city uplifts the legacy, freedom, resilience, and unity that Juneteenth represents. Thank you for standing with us to celebrate our shared history and vibrant culture that continues to shape our community. Make sure you come out to the 5th annual Juneteenth Unity and Black Excellence Festival that is right downtown at the Meyer Amphitheater on June 22nd. We would love to have all of you there. It is free to attend. We'll be doing a lot of things for the community and celebrating the kids, so make sure you bring out your family. And if you can't make it, just be sure to support us and follow everything that we do. If you don't, follow us on social media at Juneteenth PBC and our website, juneteenthpbc.org. Thank you again.
And we're on our final proclamation of the day. So I'd like to invite up Ivan Maldonado, again, from Palm Tran, David Deck from South Florida Regional Planning Council, also known as Tri-Rail, Deborah Posey Blocker from Palm Tran, and anyone else that would like to be involved in the Dump the Pump proclamation, you're more than welcome to join us. So this is a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners declaring June 17th, 2025 as Dump the Pump Day. Whereas public transportation is critical in transporting essential workers, reducing traffic congestion, and creating cleaner air. And whereas the American Public Transportation Association brings together hundreds of transit providers each year to raise awareness and encourage everyone to dump the pump. And whereas Palm Tran, working closely with the Palm Beach Transportation Planning Agency, provides 29,000 rides daily and encourages everyone to use the promo code Transit 2025 in the Paradise Pass app from June 15th to June 21st to ride for free. And whereas the South Florida Regional Transportation Authority reported that Tri-Rail commuter rail service served more than 4.4 million riders in 2024 and continues to show signs of ridership growth in the first quarter of 2025. The express train service launched in July 2024 has also experienced a notable increase in service, further enhancing the efficiency and appeal of the system. And whereas the Palm Beach Transportation Planning Agency has programmed or prioritized approximately $43 million over the next 5 fiscal years to make transit more accessible and provide new vehicles and train sets and bus and train infrastructure for countywide service and the South Florida region. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners, Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this 3rd day of June 2025, that June 17th, 2025 in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed Dump the Pump Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you very much. On behalf of South Florida Regional Transportation Authority, we want to, especially thank Palm Beach County for your continued leadership and support, and our partnerships with Palm Tran and the TPA. We are on track. I did that on purpose to surpass our ridership record for this year. And we invite anybody, if you haven't ridden Tri-Rail or you haven't ridden Tri-Rail recently, to come on out, especially on the weekend. You can ride all day on Saturday or all day on Sunday for $5. So we need to beat that record this year. So we invite everybody to come out and maybe ride twice. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you, everyone, for your support of Palm Tran. We're really excited about this initiative. It's a national initiative. Most transit systems in the nation get together and try to promote transit, which is so critical for the transportation of our citizens in this community, particularly when it comes to reducing congestion and that sort of thing. So I just want to, I think the mayor just said it all in the proclamation, so I don't want to add. Remember, the Dump Pump Day is June the 17th. From June the 15th through the 25th is that we are celebrating our our Dump the Pump week. And then if you were to get a Paradise Pass, then make sure you put the promo code Transit 2025. You will be able to get $5 added to your pass. And I just simply want to finish that by saying that we did 8.6 million trips this year, and we're heading, or last year, we're heading towards 9 million trips this coming year. So please help us reach that goal. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
And for those of you that might not be aware, Commissioner Woodward is the chair of Tri-Rail this year. That's why I invited her up. All right. We are now done with that. Commissioner Weiss, we moved your agenda item up to after. Okay. So we are going to do a public hearing. Do I have a motion to receive and file proof of publication? On 5A1, okay. We have a motion to receive and file from Commissioner Weiss, a second from Commissioner Woodward. All in favor? All
Wait, you have a card.
This is just the public hearing, proof of publication.
Oh, sorry.
And then we'll go. That's okay. No problem. All in favor? All opposed? See that carries 7-0. Now we'll go to item 5A1. Does anybody want a presentation? We do have a card.
Alexandria Larson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Recently I've been
drug into the tax thing. That was one. I usually don't yell too much about taxes, but we are being fined and feed and taxed to death. I was at the FPL hearing the other night, and our traffic engineer went up and said, go ahead, raise the rates $200 a year, because that's what they're getting, FPL. So here we are, we're just more and more and more. And the people I'm worried about are the people on fixed incomes, the people with a lot of kids. And I've said it before, but it's the way that the money that we collect for everything, we should be driving on diamonds, not potholes. Because when I drive in here, I take Southern left lane all the way in, and all you do is ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. That's hitting the potholes. And they're, so hopefully they'll start spending the money more wisely, and we'll pave a little bit more, because there's roads that haven't been paved in years. And the other day I was driving down Salisbury Wave, and that's the third time it's been paved in several years. So I think we need to spread out the way we're doing our roads. It's just a thought, commissioners. And 2 or 4 cents is better than 6 cents. Maybe think about the taxpayers a little bit, just a little. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more cards? Just want to make a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to just say that we're not raising this, we are re-implementing it. And this actually provides the ability to have other people that are not just property owners also contribute to the dollars that go towards our roads. So I, with that being said, will make the motion to adopt an ordinance amending Palm Beach County Code.
I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, second from Commissioner Flores. All in favor? All opposed?
The motion amended will be 5A1, 5A1, A, B, and C.
Thank you. Second. All in favor? All opposed? See that motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to, I had asked the mayor in advance if I may be able to read this proclamation or this resolution. First off, I want to thank my colleagues on the board here for your support of allowing us to bring this resolution forward so quickly. And so just know how much I really appreciate that. And I also want to thank staff. This is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, condemning the killings of Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram in Washington, D.C., denouncing the rising threat of anti-Semitism and hate, and affirming support for our local initiatives promoting interfaith dialogue and community unity. Whereas on May 21st, 2025, Yaron Lashinsky, an Israeli diplomat, and Sarah Milgram, an American from Kansas, both cherished members of the American Jewish community, were tragically murdered outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., following an AJC event organized to foster collaboration among young diplomats from 20 countries, in an act widely recognized as rooted in anti-Semitism. And whereas both individuals were dedicated staff members of the Israeli embassy committed to fostering diplomacy and understanding among communities, their loss is deeply mourned. And whereas the Anti-Defamation League reported a record high 9,354 anti-Semitic incidents in the United States in 2024, marking an 893% increase over the past decade, with 58% of these incidents tied to the criticism of Israel, particularly arising from opposition to Israel's military response in Gaza following the Hamas attacks on October 7th, 2023. And 77% of American Jews say they feel less safe as a Jewish person in the U.S. because of October 7th, 2023, Hamas terrorist attacks, according to AGC's State of Anti-Semitism in America Report 2024. Whereas Palm Beach County, home to one of the largest Jewish populations in the nation, remains steadfast in its commitment to protecting all residents from hate, bigotry, and violence. Whereas the Palm Beach Center to Combat Anti-Semitism and Hatred, established by the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County, leads a county-wide strategy to counter anti-Semitism, providing strategic and financial assistance to Jewish and non-Jewish partners, exemplifying local leadership. And whereas the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office has launched a hate crimes task force to raise awareness about the rise in illegal acts of prejudice, prevent incidents, and provide support for victims, demonstrating a commitment to addressing hate crimes proactively. And whereas the school district of Palm Beach County has implemented educational initiatives to promote understanding and dialogue around complex issues such as anti-Semitism and racism, empowering students to stand against hate and build a more inclusive future. Whereas our public discourse has become more increasingly polarized, with hate-filled rhetoric, dividing communities, and undermining the possibility of peaceful dialogue. And whereas Palm Beach County affirms that unity is not uniformity, that we must recommit ourselves to a culture where diverse views can be expressed without fear, and where dialogue replaces demonization. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, the board condemns the killings of Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram as an anti-Semitic attack, an attack on peace, diplomacy, and the fundamental values of human dignity and respect. The board denounces the rise of anti-Semitism and hate in all forms and pledges to strengthen efforts to protect vulnerable communities across Palm Beach County. The board calls for an end of hate-filled rhetoric that has permeated public discourse, urging residents, leaders, and institutions to choose dialogue over division. The board reaffirms its commitment to civil discourse, interfaith understanding, and public engagement rooted in mutual respect, even and especially when we disagree. The board supports and commends local initiatives, including the Palm Beach Center to Combat Anti-Semitism and Hatred, the Hate Crimes Task Force, and educational programs by the School District of Palm Beach County and the American Jewish community for their efforts in promoting interfaith dialogue, community unity, and the eradication of hate. The clerk of the board is directed to transmit a copy of this resolution to the President of the United States, the Governor of Florida, the Florida Congressional Delegation, the Florida Legislature, and the families of the victims. That is the resolution. I will move that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I do. Commissioner Sachs.
I'm going to second it, and I want to thank you, Commissioner Weiss, as you've always been a strong advocate for those in our community who have suffered from anti-Semitic tirades, the flyers that occurred before, the anything that that would make our people, no matter what the religion or creed or color, but especially the second largest Jewish community in the United States is here in Palm Beach County. And because of your leadership and your advocacy, I thank you, and I'm proud to second your proclamation.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have several cards.
Lisa Beers, Josephine Gahn, and Alexandria Larson.
A little adjustment. Good morning. I'm Lisa Beers, President of the American Jewish Committee, Palm Beach Regional Board. On behalf of AJC and the Jewish community, I want to thank you, and on behalf of all of the county commissioners, with a special thank you to Commissioner Weiss and Mayor Marino for helping to bring this forward. But for you to take the time to condemn and to call out this heinous attack, which took the lives of two young Jewish leaders, Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lashinsky, in Washington last week. Sarah and Yaron were part of AJC's Young Leadership Network. They had just attended a reception held by AJC's Young Diplomats program. This was an event that brought together representatives from over 20 countries to learn about humanitarian cooperation, diplomacy, service in the areas of the Middle East and North Africa. Their lives were full of promise. Yaron had just bought an engagement ring and was planning to propose to Sarah this week in Jerusalem. Their families were gathering to celebrate. Instead, they had to bury their children. We grieve not only for what was lost, but for what might have been. So let me be clear. This was not just a tragedy for AJC or for the Jewish community. This was a moral outrage. And sadly, we've seen some attempts to justify the murders, framing them as somehow connected to the conflicts and the events in the Middle East. This was murder fueled by hatred of Jews. There is no justification. We also know that anti-Semitic rhetoric, whether on social media, college campuses, or in public discourse, fuels real-world violence. When people chant from the river to the sea or globalize the Intifada, those are not calls for peace. Those are calls for destruction of Israel and the endangerment of Jewish lives. Words matter, because anti-Semitism is not just a Jewish problem, it is a societal problem. When anti-Semitism rises, democracy itself is at risk. It should concern everyone, and that is why we are so grateful for the county commissioners to take this stand. We ask the broader community to join us because we all must be responsible and committed to ensuring that this hatred is not normalized, not tolerated, and not ignored. The resolution, your resolution, emphasizes that unity is not uniformity. We must all respect and accept one another, and in the face of this sorrow, will strengthen our resolve and ask everyone to join us to fight this hate. Thank you again for your leadership and moral clarity. Apologize for the extra seconds. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Josephine Gahn, and I'm the Executive Director of the Palm Beach Center to Combat Anti-Semitism and Hatred of the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County. Thank you, Commissioner Weiss, Mayor Marino, and all the commissioners and administrators. Thank you so much for this resolution condemning the anti-Semitic murders of two young, bright people in Washington, D.C., about to be engaged. They were the best of the best, murdered because they were assumed to be Jews. Your public and written condemnation of these anti-Semitic acts is so important and so meaningful to the Jewish community of Palm Beach County. How sad it is that such a resolution is necessary, but necessary it is. The ADL's recent survey of anti-Semitic incidences revealed that there was more than one anti-Semitic incident every hour of every day of 2024 in the United States. Florida ranks number 7th in the nation, but Palm Beach County still ranks as number 1 for the most anti-Semitic incidences of all counties in Florida. Anti-Semitism has become an epidemic. These murders are but the most recent. We've seen how this hate has led to murders of Jews in Pittsburgh, in Muncie, in Poway, in D.C., and the attempted murders in Boulder, Colorado just 2 days ago, of people gathered to remember the hostages still being held in tunnels by the terror group Hamas, one of whom is a Holocaust survivor. Whomever is spilling anti-Jewish vitriol, whether the white supremacists you have encountered in these chambers or the hate groups on university campuses, they believe exactly the same conspiracy theories, lies and propaganda that has led to the death of millions of Jews through the millennia. No Jew anywhere is safe from the Israelophobia gripping the world. The spread of propaganda and lies about Israel have taken over some quarters, and we regularly hear chants to globalize the Intifada. This is code language for attack Jews anywhere in the world. The murder of Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram and the attacks in Boulder, this is what globalize the Intifada means. Lies and incitement have consequences. This cannot and should not be tolerated. All Americans should loudly and publicly condemn the hatred being directed at the Jewish people. All Americans should understand that this is not a Jewish problem, but an American problem. For if this is allowed to happen in the United States, then no one is safe. If this is allowed to continue, then our democracy is not safe. I urge everyone to pay attention to what is happening and to no longer remain silent. I thank this commission for not remaining silent.
Hi, Commissioners. It's really weird because the young lady who spoke first, she said hate is the new normal. And it is. That's what it seems to be. Like, I don't know if it came from COVID. I call them cove heads because people are ignorant to a lot of things. And it's because they're not informed. They're not informed, and they need to be informed. Yeah, everybody does, because I did. I'm sorry, I'm blonde-haired and blue-eyed. Let me tell you, people don't like little blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls. We dealt with prejudice when I was a child, which is nowhere near being shot at. But this is a horrible situation that I guess a lot of leaders have to come together and really figure out a way to present it so the kids coming up behind us will be aware and know that it's not normal. This should not be normal. Because she said it's the new normal, and it really is. When you look at it in the big picture, the new normal. And it shouldn't be, Commissioners. This is the saddest thing I've ever seen. It said the increase was 893% over the last 10 years, the 9,384. And I'm reading that last night, and it just shouldn't be. And it wasn't like this when I was a kid. I don't remember people being so lackadaisical and ignorant to stuff that's going on around them. My family said to leave a light footprint and be a whisper. Don't let anyone, don't intrude on anyone else's life. And I think that's one thing. Maybe that should be the new motto of Palm Beach County. Be a whisper. And don't let anybody know, don't let anybody hurt anybody else. Because the pain is unbelievable for everyone. Everywhere. It's everywhere, Commissioners. And hate should not be the new normal. And I'm glad she said that, but I wrote it in my notes, I swear. Thank you.
Thank you. And also, let the record reflect that in the description, the name of Sarah Milgram, not Sarah Pilgrim. So let's just let the record reflect wherever you might have it here. In the resolution, was it Milgram? Yes. Okay, thank you. So we had a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? See that motion carries 7-0. We are now on to the Office of Resilience. This is PACE. Does anyone need a presentation? Okay, we have several cards on this. Why don't we go ahead and read the cards?
Okay. We have Jennifer Rojo Suarez, Neil Schiller, Mark Scheffel, and Alexandria Larson. This is 6A1, right?
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Vice Mayor. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Rojo Suarez. I am the Senior Regional Director for Government Affairs for Renew Financial, one of the PACE providers operating here in Palm Beach County. I am here to speak in support of item 6A1 related to the property assessed clean energy. I want to thank the Office of Resilience for working with us and considering our feedback. The PACE program has significantly evolved over the years to incorporate higher standards of consumer safeguards and protections, and with the recent legislation that passed, that was the goal there. So we strongly support consumer protections, and we ask that for your favorable support of item 6.1A. Thank you for your time and consideration. We look forward to continuing our partnership with Palm Beach County. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Commissioners, or Madam Mayor, excuse me, and Honorable Commissioners, Neil Schiller with Government Law Group, 137 Northwest 1st Avenue. I'm here today representing Renew Financial. You just heard my client, Jennifer, speak about how we support the amendments. We 100% support the amendments, and just want to shout out to staff who's been excellent to work with through this process, and we just want to thank them. So thank you.
Morning, Mayor, County Commissioners. Mark Scheffel. I am with Y Green Energy Fund. I lead government affairs for that company. We also are one of the PACE companies operating in Palm Beach County. And I too just want to add our voice, to the chorus of support for the process. Thank you so much to staff. Working with them has been a pleasure. And we are also here in support of the item and ask for your support. And look forward to continue positive relationship with the county. Thank you.
I'm sorry, when I was reading the backup on this last night, I was very concerned about us, the taxpayers. I don't think anything should be wrapped into our taxes. It doesn't need to be added on to, more of. And it's stuck there. So these things, when I read the backup, because I looked for the protections for the people, I saw a lot for the companies. And I might have misread it. I will admit that wholeheartedly, because there was a lot of pages. But I do not think, if we want to put new things on our house, new roofs, new windows, new whatever, it shouldn't be tied to our tax bill. I have a really concern about that, because I think we'll pay for it later. That's, so maybe I'm wrong, but it just doesn't look right. I hope you'll look into it a lot for the taxpayers. I hope they give them a class on it, and tell them this is what's going to happen, because I don't think they understand completely. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell and then Commissioner Wise.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Ms. Larson has a good point. This is attached to people's tax bill. And from my understanding, there's a few people who have taken these loans, and there's actually people who go door to door. And I think this is great that we're putting consumer protections in place. But what was absent from the number of people who just spoke was, I didn't see anybody who has received a PACE loan come and tell me how great it was. So that's troubling for me. Can you all indicate to me why these changes are necessary?
Good morning, everyone. Megan Houston, Resilience Director for the Office of Resilience. I'm joined by my colleagues Javion and our newest intern, Kyle. So I told him it would be fun if he came up to the table today. So thank you all. What we're here today to do is ask you to publish our ordinance recommendations for public hearing for us to come back. And what we're proposing aligns our ordinance with the state, who in 2024 enacted additional consumer protection. Things that mirrored a lot of what we had put into place back in 2022, because the county had lived with PACE projects and had heard those discussions about door-to-door and iPads and things like that. So the county was ahead of the game. The state then enacted protections, and now we're just aligning and shoring up things. So we're not proposing anything new, anything additional, because we've had residential income protection and disclosure requirements and confirmed term calls, recordings, things like that. So to what Ms. Larson was mentioning, do homeowners understand what they're getting into? We're trying to make sure that those protocols are in place and that it's documented. And when there's an issue, when a homeowner calls Javion, because he's the one who gets those calls, he can ask our stakeholders, our PACE industry, can we pull that tape? Can we review that? Can we see what's going on? So at this point, we have pretty good information that we can then review. But today's ordinance changes that we put forth are really to align and remove those duplications, because where the state's covering it, we don't need to duplicate those efforts. So we're slimming down our ordinance because it's covered at the state level.
Thank you. Follow up? Sure. So this program was allowed by Palm Beach County, of course, and Palm Beach County was ahead of the curve, as you indicated. The challenge I have to that, or the trouble with that, is there's two cases sitting on my desk of individuals who have taken PACE loans, and they are unable to pay those property taxes because they're attached to their property taxes, and which puts them at jeopardy of losing their homes. And right now we're in the midst of a housing crisis. So the problem that I'm having is when you indicated that Palm Beach County was above the curve or ahead of the curve, and I know for a fact that there's at least 2 cases that are on my desk, and the wool is not over my eyes. If 2 cases are at my desk, I'm sure there's 200 cases that haven't made it to me. What I understand as Board of County Commissioner, as a commissioner, is what we call like the worst case last scenario where people get to me. That's a problem. And I know that we're doing this in order to be able to have consumer protections, but as I indicated, I did not see any consumers come up and say, this was great. I was able to get my air conditioning fixed and now I have my home. I'm actually getting people who are at risk of losing their homes. I know the portion that we're doing today will strengthen the program. However, I'm challenged with being in support of something that I know in my heart of hearts is predatory. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to follow up, and I think, Megan, I think you said a lot of what I was going to say, but I think it's important to know that Palm Beach County was ahead on this in terms of providing consumer protections, and I share my colleagues' concern that people can be misled. And not really understanding, and there's misleading advertising I've seen come, even delivered at my house, and I've shared that with staff because we now have the ability to go after people who do violate those advertising restrictions that are in place or regulations that we have, that they, where they're saying, you can get this for free or this government sponsored, which none of those things are true. On the other hand, and I personally have also gotten involved in cases where people didn't understand what they were signing up for. But there have been thousands and thousands, though, since we have implemented this program, where people are being able to take advantage of this and use it successfully. That doesn't mean I would not be concerned going forward, but it's just people need to be aware, and I think we're doing everything in our power to make them aware. So now there's clauses in there or requirements of ability to be able to repay the loan. They have to qualify for that. They have the ability to cancel. They have a right of rescission. And we also have regulations regarding the advertising and that it must include the contractor. You cannot have marketing companies going out and pushing those things. So I think the changes that have been made, and I'm delighted that the state has adopted what Palm Beach County put into action. It provides one more tool in the toolbox for a property owner in order to take care of their property and make the changes or improvements that they need. I've had neighbors utilize the PACE program for new roofs, for impact windows, and air conditioning. And they quite frankly, could have paid it out of pocket themselves, but they chose to handle it this way. It was the fastest way for them to deal with this and getting the work done. And so it's just another tool. But people have to go in with their eyes open, no doubt about it. It is a loan, it's a repayable loan, and it's going to be on your tax bill until it is repaid. So I just want to be clear about that, but I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward?
Thank you, Mayor. And although we didn't ask for your presentation, you did have one, and I know on slide 18, you had a number of what the state's updates are. Specifically, I was hoping, could you just expound a little bit on the consumer protections that are part of this, as far as with disclosures, how the advertising is allowed to happen, the ability to pay, contractor approval? There's a number of items on here that I think would be good for the public to hear.
Sure. So as you said, Commissioner Woodward, we did provide a summary here of what the state had done. And so before, PACE was all one category. This time around, they separated it between residential and commercial, because those are different parties to the table when it's a big, $1 million PACE PACE financing agreement versus a residential smaller project. So financial disclosures, things like, what's the total payment? What is that month? What is the annual assessment going to look like? What is the interest rates? I think before it was very, it wasn't outlined. And so now they're saying, yeah, we want that information to be communicated to the property owners so that they know, on a piece of paper what they're getting into.
And if I could on that one, because I have received these solicitations myself where it says free government program, and I feel it's very misleading when it's put that. The tax collector, in truth, does not assess a fee to do this. So it's a free government program, as in the government is not charging, but it is not a free program. It is a loan with an interest rate tied to it. And I think that has been, there's some funny language there that can be confusing. It's not a free program.
Correct.
The government doesn't charge, but the PACE contractor and the contractor doing the work very much charges.
Correct. It's not an upfront, there could be no upfront cost to the property owner, and so that's sometimes misconstrued. But the advertisements that we've seen that are very misleading, that we've followed down, have, to my knowledge, never been linked back to the PACE districts or the PACE providers. It's these kind of like lead generator folks who are, it's a whole separate thing. But
do we have the ability to then enforce that if mailers are going out in Palm Beach County, do we have the ability to enforce these advertising requirements?
Well, then, when we see a case like that, we'll connect with the county attorney's office and the Department of Consumer Affairs. But Ryan, do you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, and we get that information, and we connect with other departments that have that enforceable, those authorities, like code enforcement or consumer affairs, and we've even partnered with public affairs to put out education campaigns to put out buyer beware advertisements. So that's been successful for us, and I think CILB, our contractor certification division, is going after some of these contractors that are bad actors.
Well, since the state has stepped in and they are doing this as a statewide update, can they not also help in the enforcement of this, because these lead generations are coming from within the state? Are they not a part of the enforcement?
I think we're still waiting to see how they're going to roll out their enforcement, because they do have additional roles and responsibilities at the state level, and the enforcement that they're looking at is specific to the PACE providers and the PACE districts, I think, of their annual assessments, but it's something we should be asking about that.
Yeah,
That's a
okay.
good question.
Sorry, and it's not clear who they've assigned the state agency to enforce these provisions. I mean, my presumption is it would be DBPR, but that's yet to be seen.
Okay, so that is something we will follow up on, because these mailers or flyers, door knockers, it's still happening. And, it's one thing for us to try to educate people, but if they're receiving this stuff in the mail, they are for sure getting it, and they're not always getting our message.
And another point is, a lot of these advertisers are very adept at using certain language to make it very vague as to not violate the actual ordinance. They're not putting actual PACE program. They're saying it's a home improvement program and alluding to several different types of these home improvement programs. PACE, HELOC, the Florida state has its own home improvement program. So it's hard to hit a moving target.
Okay. And the only other one, on slides 23 and 24, you have where we are stricter than the state. Are there any of those that should be highlighted where, and maybe the state will catch up to us again, but where are we stricter?
I think the one, so this is just for commercial, right? Residential, it's pretty similar. So these are commercial 250,000 and above, we have a split on our own ordinance. I think the first bullet and the second bullet are pretty similar, so we don't allow any involuntary liens. The state has a $5,000 minimum. We don't allow any defaults, but the state's only prohibiting things that have been recorded and not yet released. The biggest difference between ours is that third bullet, where we don't allow any negative amortization. In the commercial industry, it's a common practice to have interest-only periods. So that is one area where in Palm Beach County, commercial PACE projects have been minuscule, maybe 1 out of 1,000, because that's just not how that business works. So that model is not great, from what we've heard from our providers. So that would be a board policy decision. Staff does not think negative amortization should ever be allowed for residential in PACE, but for commercial, that would be, we would defer to the board's will on that one. And then I think you mentioned the second page too. Or the page 24, sorry. We have another set where we still allow a 3-day right to cancel for the smaller commercial projects, because 250,000 or lower, that could be like a pet store or mom and pop kind of business where they might not have a whole legal team. So we still want that cooling off period. We require our contractors to be licensed. The state didn't include that in the ordinance. We think that's a good thing to have. And some paperwork, some verifications, and then we have a general description about pricing rules and enforcement mechanisms to make sure property owners are protected. The industry pointed out that could be a little bit vague, but it's on the PACE folks to have those safeguards in place. So we feel like putting that burden back on them to make sure that what they're doing is in good faith is okay as is.
Okay. That was all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs?
Hi, good to see you again, Ms. Houston. A couple of definitions I think we need to go through. First of all, do we have a choice on this issue? This is Florida state statute. So what choices do we have in amending or modifying Florida state statute that's been in effect for over a year?
Great question. You have a choice to have PACE operating within Palm Beach County. So that
We have a choice.
You have a choice.
The Board of County Commissioners
Correct.
has a choice to do it. And if we decide to say we do not want to follow this Florida state statute, are there any repercussions?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we have the program, we have to be in compliance with the Florida state
Let's
statute.
go back. Can we deny having a PACE program
Yes,
in contradiction to a Florida state statute?
It wouldn't be in contradiction. The state statute authorizes local governments to adopt a PACE program.
Okay. Now, so when you say that ours is stricter, we can modify, let me look at you, Mr. Attorney. We can modify this Florida state statute as we prefer.
Well, not modify the state statute.
Well, we
but
are.
We're bringing the ordinance into compliance with the state statute, and we're just aligning it with it. We have some rules that are redundant or that maybe that are less restrictive in certain instances, but those that are more restrictive are authorized to be we're authorized to put into place. So those.
So we can modify the state statute.
It's tomatoes, but yeah, I guess if you want.
What do you mean tomatoes or tomatoes?
I mean, it's another
This
way
is
of-
a legal question.
Yeah.
Can we change? Because I can hear from my colleagues
So
that there's some issues here that we may or may not like. And so what I'm thinking is this, and you have in your outline here that we can make it stricter.
Yes.
Right. So
Okay.
the state statute gives you the top parameter, and this is the least amount of enforcement you have to have. We can make it more restrictive, but
Okay.
we can't make it less restrictive.
So we can modify that to apply for Palm Beach County particular issues that we may have. And that's a good thing. And you've already put that in your outline, which is excellent, by the way. You're going to come back to us in July. Is that correct?
That's what we're asking the board to approve today. Yes, that's what we would like to do.
Okay, you want to come back in July. What if we say no?
We'll do whatever you say. So,
I think that it may be prudent for us to have you come back in July, but between now and July, let's take a look and see what we have for different areas. No one's ever come to my door and said, we'll pay your, take care of your electric. I guess I don't know. Maybe they don't like me, I don't know. But the issue is I've never had anybody come to my door. But I do know that there are issues with folks in this county that are not pleased with this. What does Ms. Gannon, what does Ann Gannon say from the tax collector's office about this?
so staff, Javion Green has been coordinating with the tax collector's office on, consumer issues and data. And so I don't know if we've had her general policy, we haven't checked in on that in a while, so I would never presume to speak for her, but she's raised concerns in the past.
Don't speak for Ms. Gannon.
Right, exactly. But she has pointed out some concerns and at these meetings.
She has some concerns. If we could, before you come back in July, if we could have a representative from the tax collector's office, at least before that time, talk to us or give us their presentation in writing, that would be helpful. This is a big deal. And I'd like to see us do this right for all the communities in our county. So if you could, before the July 8th, give us a little more meat on this as to what we can and cannot do, and what the tax collector's office, because she was pretty adamant about it before, what they say about it and how we can make it palatable to all our people here in the county. Thank you very much, Ms. Houston. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am in favor of what you're bringing before us. I think you're bringing us into compliance, making sure that we clean up the ordinance and that we do what we have to do to be in line. However, I do share a lot of the concerns that I've already heard from my fellow commissioners, that there is some predatory lending has happened. You have voiced concerns over the marketing or the solicitors that are perhaps not even the PACE providers. So there is something that we need to address and clean up beyond what we're cleaning up here. And I understand that all of those concerns can't be addressed by us because this comes from state statute. So what I would like to know is, what are the data? How many complaints are there? I mean, Commissioner Powell mentioned 2 cases, but I know that Ms. Gannon has already expressed some issues too. So I want to dig in beyond this, and I want to get some data to see where are the shortfalls or the shortcomings of the PACE program, so that we're better equipped to make decisions moving forward. And it seems like there's an appetite from this board to have a discussion about that beyond what we're approving here today. So I think we all want to learn more and see how we can protect the residents of Palm Beach County so that they don't fall into false advertisement. Mm-hmm. So I am in favor of this particular ordinance and moving this forward, but I would like to dig deeper.
Understood. So for the July 8th meeting, some more facts and figures about the complaints and things like that.
I think I'll leave that up to the administrator and staff to decide whether this is a separate conversation, but definitely would like to see more discussion, because I think these are 2 separate issues that I'm talking about here. I definitely want to move forward with this, cleaning up the ordinance, but I also want to have a separate discussion about the predatory lending and how do we protect. I mean, if we have to go to Tallahassee and work with our legislators to do that, I want to know what we have to do in order to protect our residents.
Right, understood.
Yep. Thank you.
If I may, just one comment on the mailers and the door-to-door lending and things like that. Even if those people are completely wrong, they don't have authority to authorize a PACE deal, right? Like, it still has to go through a PACE district, through a PACE provider who we approve. The tax collector's not going to put an assessment on somebody's, home unless it's done, verified through one of our providers that we authorize through an interlocal agreement where we have an indemnification agreement with the provider. So there are, even if there's mailers that are completely bogus, if that homeowner ever goes into a PACE program, they're going to have that same protection of the call, the verification, and things like that. We still I hate to see the mailers. I hate to see the logo, our county logo. That drives me nuts because that's not allowed. So we're always tracking that. But as a backstop, it still has to roll into every consumer protection provision that we have in place if it ever goes forward as a deal.
Right. So my concern is that when you see advertisement, you believe that it's right because they for whatever reason you think that they're meeting whatever legal jargon that they have to adhere to, but they're not doing that. So when you get to the actual deal, most people don't even read their mortgages when they're signing a mortgage, much less a much smaller loan, because some of these people are desperate and they need whatever money they're trying to get to patch a hole in their roof or to get the AC conditioner working again. So they're willing to sign whatever it is that's in front of them without really doing the due diligence that is required. So if we can protect people, I would like to be able to identify what are those measures that we can enhance so that we don't have bad actors out there advertising wrong information, even though the PACE providers have the proper. In my community, what I see is they don't even, some of them don't speak English. So there is someone that comes along and then they tell you, oh no, they'll pay for all of this and this and that and that. And when you come to realize you have a lien in your home, that nobody ever told you that. So there are barriers out in our communities. Not all communities are built equal. So if we can identify what those barriers are, then that's what I want to do. I guess that's what I'm asking beyond this ordinance that you're providing us, is how do we come together and protect our people so that they don't get harmed by false advertisement.
Understood. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Follow-up for Ryan. To clarify earlier, when Commissioner Sachs was asking questions, we have a couple options. One, we can either have the program or not.
Correct.
There's nothing in Florida statute that mandates that we allow this program in Palm Beach County?
Correct. In fact, the statute was updated to reinforce our authority PACE programs, I guess they're only authorized to operate in the county or in local governments if we pass a
if we allow it.
ordinance. Correct.
And so then our options are allow it or not to allow it. And then should we allow it, we have the option to come into compliance, which this is doing with Florida statute, but we could also choose to make it more strict.
More strict. Correct.
Just not less strict.
Absolutely.
And those are our options.
Yes.
And I'm hearing the concern of Commissioner Flores with wanting you to bring back data. So I would like you to actually bring back what are our options of making this more strict. What does that look like? What are our parameters? What are things we could add it to provide more protections for the consumers who may or may not know that they're going to get a lien on their home and potentially be forced out? To Commissioner Powell's point, I do not think that I've never thought this was a great program just because of the predatory lending. And it takes advantage of the most vulnerable, the people who need it the most, who are in no other situation, but don't realize then they're in jeopardy of losing their homes. That's heartbreaking. I would like to ask Commissioner Powell if you had some thoughts on where you would like to see this go or not have it at all. Where are you landing on this issue?
Madam Mayor, good. Thank you for that, Vice Mayor. I'm of the opinion that it's predatory. What allows me to understand it's a predatory loan is when it starts with the idea of property assessed. That means you can't get around it. It's on the tax bill. If an individual is unable to pay the property taxes, his or her home is auctioned. I would like to One of my colleagues pointed out that this has been successful for some people who can afford it. If the loan can be afforded by people, then there's an opportunity for them to look at other sources, such as secured or unsecured or traditional sources for loans, as opposed to PACE. The problem that I'm having is property assessed in a time where people cannot afford to lose their homes. Truthfully, if this were to come to us if it were to come back to us as a whole, I would not be in favor of the PACE program in Palm Beach County. That's me, because I know in District 7, it's probably a place where what I would like to see in terms of data is how many individuals have been victimized. Let me restate that. How many individuals have been able to utilize the program in District 7 who may have had a difficult time paying their property taxes. I'm not in favor of the program, which obviously would indicate that even with restrictions, I wouldn't be in favor of the program. Property assessed, that's where you get me. Property assessed. So that's where I'm at, Madam Vice Mayor, is I'm not in favor, even if it were more strict, because as it's been indicated, the individuals who have been able to utilize this loan for the betterment are people who can already afford it. And if you can afford it, there are other alternatives for you to take advantage of to be able to fix your air conditioner, get impact windows, to fix your roof.
That are not property assessed.
That are not property assessed or predatory assessed.
Agreed, and I echo the sentiments of Commissioner Powell. So I'm not in favor of this program in Palm Beach County, but I would, if this comes back to us at some point, how strict can you make something? And we've put our own more strict regulations on this program over and over again. And I would like to also include in those numbers, since we've had more strict requirements, are people still getting taken advantage of? I mean, are there any amount of restrictions that can stop that? And I agree with the sentiment that Commissioner Powell shares, that these should not be property assessed, because I don't think that people fully understand the gravity of that and what comes with that, and that their home can be auctioned, the most vulnerable. So that's where I stand.
Thank you. So let's, I haven't gone yet. Everyone's talked, I'm going to go. And then I'll come back to you. Thank you. An important thing here to note is that this program is trying to get a handle on how it's monitored. And in order for a provider to be part of this program, they have to sign an interlocal agreement with the county. So we can only monitor the good players with this program. We can't monitor the bad players because probably the bad players aren't signing an interlocal agreement with the county, so they're not authorized to do business in the county if they haven't signed an interlocal agreement with the county. Is that correct?
That is correct. And then there would never be an option to add that to the tax roll if it wasn't from an approved provider.
The bad actors are not attaching a lien to someone's house through the tax collector's office, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But a bad actor can put a lien on someone's house for non-payment, but it does not go through the tax collector if they are not part of the interlocal agreement program. Is that correct?
Right, you're talking about
Joe AC does something with someone who, in a predatory manner, has said, yes, put an AC unit on my house. I agree to pay back. But it's not going through the tax collector's office because Joe AC hasn't signed an interlocal agreement with the county. So the tax collector is not collecting anything because there is no association with the county, because they haven't signed an interlocal agreement, correct?
Yes.
All right. What protections can we offer those folks?
Well, we have the contractors certification division, and those folks can report bad actors to that division. They'll investigate. They can go before the CILB board, any unlicensed contracting or any locally licensed contractors who violate any of those prohibitions, or if they're state licensed contractors, it'll go before the local construction board or regulation board, at which point they can restrict their permitting pulling authorities and actually prohibit them altogether.
So the program we're putting in place is with good actors, I'll put that in air quotes, who have agreed to sign an interlocal agreement with the county and be monitored by the county. Is that correct?
Yes, and the contractors work under these good actors, as you put it.
But at the end of the day, if the contractor is in default, is it the Y Greens or the Renews of the world that are trying to collect the dollars? If the contractor the subcontractor they hired is in default, or is it the consumer?
It'll be Y Green.
In default, because they might have, and I guess maybe I should back up and say, how do the Y Greens and the Renews of the world get paid?
They do the financing up front for the projects, and they'll pay the contractors, and they're the ones who try to collect on the PACE assessment.
And the contractors, through how I understood this, the work has to be done and inspected before the contractors can get paid.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, when it goes to the property tax, if it goes through this PACE program and it now becomes on your property taxes, most of those folks, if they already have a mortgage, that mortgage company should be rolling that payment into their monthly payment. As in my mortgage payment, I pay taxes, insurance, and everything else. Is that correct, or is that up to the mortgage company to work out with the provider?
We believe it's the mortgage company is collecting that payment too, but I'm going to nod back and look at the PACE folks. Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Miss Gannon just entered the room too. She's over there on the wall.
Hi, Ann. Okay, so sadly, if someone doesn't have a mortgage on their house, they're the ones that are paying their mortgage in one lump sum at the end of the year, unless they've worked out something with the tax collector where they could pay 4 payments. Ms. Gannon, you want to come to the podium? I know this is your favorite program.
It really is a favorite program. I'm going to start my own company. See, there's 2 problems with this program and that we found when we've monitored a person who actually purchases an item through this program. We've seen air conditioners that are $15,000. There is no air conditioner that you can pay $15,000 for and get an ROI within the time period that that air conditioner is good. It doesn't happen. I just purchased a new air conditioner. It's $5,000. It's not $15,000. So we have a couple problems here, or windows, and we need to look at not just that it's being added to the taxes and people can't pay. We're getting ready to put together, hopefully, compare the foreclosures to the properties who have PACE loans. And it's going to take us a while to do that, but it's certainly an indication that there's something wrong with this program. And frankly, for people who have old houses, and my house is 90 years old. So I do understand the difference between the windows I had and the ones I purchased, what it does to your air conditioning bill, and frankly, the temperature in your house. But I think that Palm Beach County, along with some other tax collectors who've really led the charge on this, because what we've seen happen to the people in our county. And as you know, there is a Supreme Court decision right now that we've been waiting on for over a year that would allow the county to require these companies to have a contract with that company, because as you know, there was 2 companies that went around the law and we challenged it. So there are a lot of issues with this program, and I wish we could completely straighten it out. The state of California in places has outlawed the program because of some of these challenges. But the intent of this program is something we need to talk about. I know St. Lucie County actually has a provider that the county works with, who is a former county commissioner, who has a company that actually does this, that provides the loans. But you have to qualify for the loan, and that's part of the issue here. The people that are this is being abused are people who could not qualify for these loans. And so we need to talk about where we go to help those people. Thank you.
You're welcome. We have a couple more questions, but I'm sorry? Yeah, don't go anywhere. We have a couple more folks that have questions, but I just want to reiterate, what we're doing today is preliminary reading and permission to advertise. But what it sounds like, and there are more lights on, so I want to give the board more opportunity to speak to you. But what it sounds like is we're probably in favor of doing that, but we need a whole lot more information. And as you were saying, statistics, and Joelle, Commissioner Flores asked for statistics, Commissioner Powell asked for statistics. I think that's what, other than, in the presentation, you have X amount of homes used the PACE program last year. But as Ms. Gannon said, X amount of homes that are in foreclosure, do they have the PACE program on there? So we need more information. And with that, Commissioner Sachs, your light was on, so why don't you go ahead and start the second volley?
I think we're still in the first volley. Don't go away. So I'm so glad I mentioned your name, because we had a long discussion on this, and you had your staff here, Ms. Gannon, at that time, and you had a lot of very good ideas about it that I don't think we have covered in this presentation today. My question, and it's good to have you here because you're the office that also handles a lot of these issues, and your voice must be heard before we make any decisions. What office in the county takes care of this, Ms. Houston? Is it your office?
The Office of Resilience is responsible for ensuring compliance with the PACE ordinance, yes.
So your Office of Resilience?
Yes.
Okay.
And by the way, they do a good job.
Okay, good. Thanks, Ms. Gannon. So what I think, you have no idea how, yes, you do, don't you? It was good that happened. Everybody is on the same page here, I think. We need a lot more study on this. I personally would like to see the different municipalities. When I opened my first discussion, I said, nobody has come to my door. Maybe that's because I'm in the county. But I know that municipalities have some issues with this program, and we don't have any amount of information that is really enough for us to make a final decision. As I said before, we can say no, but I think that if you come back in July, if you have enough time to do this research, because there's a lot of research that y'all need to do here, and I want to see Ms. Gannon's office represented at that hearing. She should have been here today at the beginning of this discussion, because her office is vitally important, and I know she watches us all the time, so that's why she came up today, right? But her office needs to be here, her staff needs to be here, but I would like to have the information given to us before the hearing, because we can't possibly cover all of this in a hearing. Give us the information, as I said before, give us the meat, and then we can discuss it later, and also have notice given to the tax collector's office. Thank you, Ms. Houston.
The follow up on one of the questions that Commissioner Sachs asked, the ILAs go through whose office?
The Office of Resilience would bring the ILA to the board at an agenda item in collaboration with the county attorney's office.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. And Ms. Gannon, thank you for coming. I had written down a question, and then you had mentioned what I was curious about when you said the original intent of this ordinance. I was wondering, could you expound on, because this started somewhere, and I would think that it started from a better place than where we are now. Could you talk about that?
It actually started in the state of California. And I think it was either San Francisco or Los Angeles, but it's been so long since I looked at the original starting of this program. And it took them about 5 years when they began to look at the real stats coming out of this program in a lot more detail than the state of Florida has looked at them, and a lot more detail than our counties have. I work very closely with Senator Fasano, our tax collector Fasano, on this program. We were probably the two people who stepped out when we saw that the communities that are being targeted are, I would say, older people, and Commissioner Sachs, you do have a condo in your district that they have targeted. And it has typically people that are 70 years old. They're elderly, and it's the same that's done to our black and brown communities, where there's they don't understand what they're signing, and the people we explain it to them. They pull their computer out and they want it signed immediately without relatives or someone who could actually give them better financial advice. But these loans typically double your taxes. And I took Commissioner Powell, too, from his district, one that has 2 loans on it. And if she could get insurance on her property, then we could put her in another program so that, and she's a very elderly woman, but her insurance was canceled. And she's going to lose that house. And the other woman that we're dealing with, she will probably lose her house because one's got 2 tax liens on it and the other's got 1 tax lien. So the second tax lien, and then it will have the third, and then it can go to TDA and she can lose her property. The other property doesn't have a tax lien on it yet, but we watch this really close, because if we find someone who we potentially can help, we actually go and work with some of our cities to do some outreach with them.
Well, follow up. My second question was, since you dug so deep in this, more than we've been able to, do you have any suggestions on what you think would make it work? Are there options to make it work?
I think that you need to have some kind of qualifier for these loans. For anybody who goes in the financial market today, they're not going to give you a loan on your house without being able to repay it with the income. And that's really the key to most of this.
And what about, you mentioned $15,000 air conditioners that should cost $5,000. Do we have the ability to look at the prices being charged to people through this program?
That's not an area we've veered into through time, and that's part of one of the biggest challenges we've had through this overall is being there on the ground, that point of contact. We try and take on so many of these provisions, or that after the fact piece, but we're not there when that initial contact is made and connection is made. Specifically on values and pricing, we're not there. It would be difficult for us to then judge as well what is appropriate and what is not. That gets us into an area I'd be a little bit hesitant. But, as we move forward, if the board wanted to consider this, to set a date to come back for setting the public hearing, would love the opportunity to sit down with industry as well and talk a little bit more on provisions that they could work through as well in that area.
Well, and I guess my last question on this, and I'm not sure who can answer, to have a program like this that exists, it's very limited on what can be what the funds can be used for the house, new roof. There's a number, it's projects that are important to a home. why would an individual homeowner or a business want to use this versus going to get another loan? Is it because they would not qualify for an outside loan?
Not necessarily. It's because it's there. They knock on your door and explain to you what a wonderful thing this would be. I mean, I get calls on this all the time. I don't know if they go down and look at her house is 90 years old, and she's an old woman. And I'm seriously, if you talk to these people, there's one program, they say it comes out of Gainesville, it's state-sponsored. There are no state-sponsored programs that do this.
Okay, well, thank you. I think if we move this forward to July 8th, that July 8th meeting is going to have to come with a lot more meat
more
on the bones
information.
and more information and some more options because, I have concerns on it. I live at, my house was built in the 70s, and maybe that's why we get a lot of this. But the flyers that I get, I bring them, I pass them off to the attorney always, but people are getting them a lot, and it's confusing. I think it's confusing on purpose. So whatever we can do to tighten that up, and if we can't tighten it up enough, I'm thinking this board maybe wouldn't be support of it at all. So July 8th will be an important day for this.
And we might, I'll let Patrick comment on that too, but one note that might be important, even though we enacted our ordinance in 2022, there was a delay in when that went into effect. So in 2024, both ours and the state now require that ability to pay from a resident. So the PACE assessment cannot be more than 10% of their household income that's documented. So that's an important backstop that we're not seeing the benefits of just yet. The cases that we get are like 2022, 2023. I'd say those are the most calls. And
yeah, that's what I've seen. I'm the one who fields the calls. Typically, if it's an issue with the assessment, it's from prior years before we made any changes to the ordinance.
Right.
That's good to know.
Patrick, did you want to talk about the July date?
And Mayor, I don't know if the board members had any other comments, but the motion and who was
Yes.
here for July 8th, I would, if I could ask the board, if they wanted to consider this, we could do it on August 19th and said, you've a lot of information. I think we would want to take the opportunity, a little more time to put all that together, make sure we meet your requirements.
I think that would probably be helpful, but we still do have a couple more comments. Commissioner Weiss, then Commissioner Sachs, and Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mayor. Really interesting conversation, very valuable, but I think it's really important to understand we're talking about loans, and this is the only one that we regulate. So there are lots of different loans going on that people are getting themselves into that we have no oversight over. So to think that this is the only problem for people, it's not. You do a deal with a contractor to put in new air conditioning. They put a mechanic's lien on your property. First thing they do. And then they have to do a release when they complete and they've been paid. So you go and install an air conditioner, you put a new roof on, you put new windows in, regardless of how you're going to pay for it, you're getting a lien put on your property. And equity loans, I don't know if anybody has gone to try and get a loan recently from a bank. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time, a lot of documentation, and sometimes people are in an emergency and they need to replace a roof, a window, an air conditioner, and they need to do it quickly, and much better than putting it on a credit card where they're paying over 20% interest on that. That's predatory. When you go in and you take out, you go to one of the big box stores, or in fact, even the AC contractors will offer you to be able to get a new credit card to pay for it. There's nobody involved in that. There's no oversight. So this gives us an opportunity to put protections in place, and I think, and some of the stories that we're hearing about, they're heart-wrenching. But we've learned from that, and we are able to put protections in place. We can't put protections in place for anyone else because we have no authority. So to take this away and to think that we've solved the problem. We haven't. So I look forward to when this returns.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
I'd like to make sure that when it does come back, and I would vote for it to come back, that we have industry here, that we have Ed Gannon's office here, the tax collector's office, and that we also have a public meeting so that folks can come up and tell us if they have used this program, if they want to use this program. And I'd also like to see, and I'm giving you a lot of work, Ms. Hughes, but this is important. I'd like to see how the municipalities are working with this program, if they are being targeted. Do we have folks who speak other languages besides English when presenting to them? Especially if it has a seal of the county on it, then we need to make sure that all of the protections that the county gives is there. And so if we need, Mr. Rutter, if we need longer time than the July date, I think we need to discuss that today. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
One quick point, Commissioner. None of these programs or administrators or third-party administrators are authorized to use the county seal. And that's one of the things that we have our Consumer Affairs investigate whenever we get those types of reports.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a question. The portion that was mentioned, and I think we talked about this offline, but can you say that again with regard to the 10% or the 20% of the person's household income?
Sorry, it was
I'm
about the
sorry.
ability to pay.
The ability to pay, yes.
Right. So we had it in our provision, and then now it's required by statute. The total estimated annual payment cannot exceed 10% of the property owner's annual household income. Income must be confirmed using reasonable evidence and not solely by the homeowner saying, yeah, that's right.
So the challenge of that is and we talked about this, if someone makes $50,000 a year, which is much less than the area median income, they could have an annual assessment of up to $5,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I heard my colleague say that, these aren't the only loans that we have to be worried about. But here's the challenge. He might be right, but these are the loans that we are directly responsible for. We have something to do with. I don't run a bank. I don't run a credit union. I don't have a mortgage company or anything like that. But because we sit here as a county and we allowed this program, we are directly responsible for this. And of course, you can get a lien on your property by any number of sources, right? But if your lien is on your property taxes, and maybe you can clarify this for me because I wasn't here to know. Of course, my understanding is this is not, nobody's ever lost their home because they've gotten additional property tax from a PACE loan yet. Can you clarify that a person can lose their home if they can't pay their PACE loan? Or I know you said earlier we can reach out to Javian, Mr. Javian. Can they call you? How do you help resolve the issue when that Ann Gannon, the tax collector, said earlier, where we've got these two issues on my desk where so these individuals don't lose their home if they can't pay the taxes?
It would be collective together. So I would reach out to the PACE providers, make them aware first, and we would get all the source documents dealing with the project and the assessment that was placed on their home. I'd reach out to Ryan, our county attorney, and as well as the tax collector, and we'd coordinate together to assist them to ensure that that doesn't happen.
Perfect. Thank you for agreeing to do that, and we'll talk after this.
And then one other comment, if I may. Yes, you can lose your home. That's something that we coordinated with on information with the tax collector's office a few years ago, making sure that our disclosure notices aligned with theirs and that We require it as a statement, right? Like, this is senior to your mortgage. Failure to pay this could result in you losing your home, because that's the difference. That's the big difference between this and any kind of other contractor
Whoa,
type project.
I'm confused. Can I follow up?
Sure, but I think what I'll try to clarify. If a general contractor knocks on your door, does some work, and puts a lien on your home, it's not going to foreclose on your house if it's not through the county. Anybody can do work on your house, and if they feel that they haven't gotten paid, they can put a lien on your loan on your home, but that doesn't force a foreclosure.
Correct.
This is because it's attached to our tax collector, it could force a foreclosure. There's two totally different things. So we're trying to regulate the good actors. We can't regulate the bad actors. So, Commissioner Powell, I hope that helps.
That does help, because I was concerned, because I was just told a moment ago that it's never happened and nobody's home will be taken because they've taken a PACE loan. But I do understand if you have a contractor work on your home, they can put a lien on your home. However, if you don't pay that lien or pay it off, that lien is on your home, and they could collect whenever you sell your home, or if you pass away and it goes to the next person or whatever. But when it's assessed to your property, if you don't pay, you could lose your property. But I just want to confirm, because I might be mistaken here, told that it's never happened and it can't happen. So I just want to be clear.
To our knowledge, we haven't seen that data point, but we are working with the tax collector's office on communicating, going over that data to review it. But it definitely, it is a risk. It is a risk of it happening.
Thank you for that.
Okay, Commissioner Flores, and then I think we should probably make a motion.
Yeah, so that's actually what I wanted to get to. I know that we floated around an August date.
August 19th.
So I don't want to delay this ordinance coming back in August. I would actually like to keep the July 8th date with the remainder of the conversation for the August date. Because I feel like we have an opportunity to implement some restrictions now. Why delay it an extra month? We can still have the discussion in August and figure out the information that we need. I think it's proper to give you guys enough time to rally the troops and get all the information that we need. But we have an opportunity to implement restrictions now, July 8th. I would like to go ahead and do that. So I would like to make the motion to approve item 6A1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clarification, please. This is a motion to advertise. This is an ordinance, so it needs two readings. Is that correct?
Correct. You'll be coming back to adopt in July 8th.
And then again,
that would be the adoption. That would be the two readings. This is the preliminary reading, and then you would adopt on July 8th. And if I may, to Commissioner Flores' point, just to set expectations, the language you have in here in the proposed ordinance, and here a lot of the data points being sought, we will endeavor to get a lot of that information and try and create it and have it there. Don't want to represent that we would have everything you're looking for.
Right.
So if the focus, and if it's the board's desire to bring it back, in this context, this way, with as much information as we can, knowing that we're coming back to you in August with a deeper dive after. If that's where the board is going, want to make sure that the expectations are clear for the next couple months.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, there is a month difference. Why not, apply some of these restrictions now to protect people? And then if there's more fine tuning that this board wants to do in August, then we can take those measures at that point. But I don't want to lose 30 days of this ordinance being cleaned up a little bit. Although it might not be final, still we were able to put something in the books earlier than August. Thanks.
Thank you. Actually, Commissioner Sacks and then Commissioner Woodward.
Can you do it? We have Ms. Gannon here, some of her staff. Can she be here? Can we have private industry here? I want to do this once, but I want to do it right. So if you can do it by July 8th, let's do it. Do you want, it's up to you all.
So again, at board's pleasure, July 8th, we can be back, the ordinance that you see here with as much information, and we'll work with the tax collector's office and others and definitely reach out to industry. So much of what we have done with this has included a number of meetings with industry and all. Would it be a complete representation of all the information you're looking for? I'm not sure we would have that for July 8th. We could have a lot of it. Could be ready with all that information for August? Yes. And if it's the board pleasure to go down the path as described by Commissioner Flores, what I'd recommend is you take it back. If you were going to adopt it in July, we would set a regular item for the August meeting to take up some of those pieces and discuss further.
I don't like doing things piecemeal, and I'm talking to my colleagues. I want to see the people, I want to see the tax collector's office represented, I want to see private industry here, and I want my colleagues to have the meat, as Commissioner Woodward said, on this before we make it a decision. So as far as I'm concerned, I want this done in a proper professional way for the people of our county. Your staff, you let us know when that is possible, okay? And then I'll go along with whatever my colleagues do, but I don't want this piecemeal. This is a big deal. So that's my opinion on it. I think we need to have it in a professional way. All right, thank you, sir.
Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. I agree with Commissioner Sachs. I would like for us to if we're amending this ordinance, I would like for us to plan that we have everything we need at that time to do it. My question is, if we delay this to August 19th, what is happening right now? Are PACE providers going around doing all kinds of things against what we're about to implement? If we delay this, what does that do for people now?
My opinion is that our ordinance has the strong protections in place, and that we were just removing things where we duplicated at the state level. So we're aligned. It was a matter of not, I'm trying to think of.
So do we currently have the ability to pay? That's part of our ordinance, even before the state put it in. That's already there. Okay, so a number of the protections that we put in, they were delayed, but they are now part of our ordinance. This will be cleaning up, so to speak, and then having a few extra, depending on where the conversation goes with what we learn on that next meeting, it could become even stricter.
Correct. The July 8th would just be to clean up things and make sure it's, aligned with the state, but the additional protections that we have been in effect since 2024, which the state largely, adopted.
Okay. Well, with the knowledge that we're not potentially putting consumers at any additional risk by waiting, I would make a substitute motion to bring this back on August 19th with everyone at all players at the table and for the full information at that time.
If I may, I would like to just confirm with industry and the tax collector's office on the dates. Javion's leaving us for a couple of months to go take care of his third baby, so we have him, gone for the summer. So Kyle, get ready. I'm kidding. But I think August 19th. Can we pencil that in and then come back if we need a little bit more time?
We'll coordinate with those who need to be here, and we'll make August 19th work.
Commissioner Flores, you okay with that? The protections are already in place. So Commissioner Woodward made a motion, a substitute motion. Do we have a second on that? So we actually have 2 seconds, but Commissioner Sachs was first. So we have a motion and a second to move this item to approve on preliminary reading and permission advertised on August 19th. Was that the date? Okay, on August 19th. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? See that motion carries unanimously 7-0. We'll see you all again August 19th on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. further brief discussion. We have a hard stop at 1 o'clock for lunch. We'll be back at 2 for matters by the public, and then we will resume our meeting after that. So let's see what we can get done between now and 1 o'clock. We're now on item 6B1. This is facilities. And we have one card. Does anyone need a presentation on the warehouse?
No, thank you.
Okay. And who's our one card?
Alexandria Larson.
I think Reef should be happy with the rent that they're getting. You're a guaranteed payer, unlike the mystery meat of the taxpayers who might not be able to pay the bill or not pay the bill. That's when I was reading it last night, because they said that they want it to be in range between $11 and $28 a square foot. So it's like, I remember I had a store at the Sawgrass Mall. I was a manager, and the rents were insane. You know, people were crying about the rent. So, I mean, we've been a customer. I guess the voting lady and the fire department, everybody needs some extra space. We don't have enough space in Palm Beach County. So I mean, at least try to work with them to keep it where it is, you know? It's gonna go up to, what, $12.97, $12.95 a square foot. So they're getting a little bit of a raise, and then 4% afterwards when I'm reading the backup. So I don't know, try to agree with them or make space work somewhere else, you know? Because let me tell you, out there in the world, the people are saying uncle, commissioners, uncle. They did about this last little ditty on your agenda, you know? This is money that people don't understand somehow how it works, and you have to make it work. And I'm just asking you to keep it where it is. Don't give them, $28 a square foot. We can't afford it anymore. The taxpayers are saying, uncle. They really are. My phone rings all the time, and I'm tired of it. If I hadn't brought this up, the last one up, it probably would have been voted through.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve 6B1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Just a comment. I asked staff yesterday about this, and we couldn't possibly build it. So with the money that it would take and the time we would need. So I am comfortable moving this forward. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? See that motion carries 7-0. We are now on item 6C1. This is the employment contract between the Board of County Commissioners and interim Administrator Todd Von Laren. Would anybody like a presentation?
No, thank you. We do have cards.
We have a card.
Alexandria Larson.
I just had a dumb question. At least you're altering Todd's pay while he is the interim administrator. He'll get compensated. And I think, you know what, commissioners, because I've been reading so much about the applicants and everything that you're going through. You know what? Find somebody that knows the history and the mystery of Palm Beach County. That's what you need. You do not need somebody you're just going to throw them into a bucket and say, swim. That's not going to work, commissioners. This is a big county, a lot of money, and he could probably do the job just fine. Thank you.
So we're on item 6C1. That is it for cards.
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve 6C1.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? See, that motion carries 7-0. Okay, we are now on 6C2, which is approve the performance reviews for our contractual employees, which include the county attorney and the auditor, and then authorize the Department of Human Resources to file a copy of those results. Any discussion?
I'll move it.
Commissioner Flores, your light is on? Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Flores and then Commissioner Powell, and we also have cards.
Did you move A and B?
First of all, I know that we have a motion to, I'm assuming to approve? Is that what I understood?
Approve and file.
So we're not going to have an open discussion?
We can if you like.
Okay, because I was notified this morning that the internal auditor is not here. And I'm really not happy about that. So I think this needs to come back before us. The county internal auditor should be here for what's his job performance. I don't know how you call it in. I don't know how you just, you know that this is coming before us. We've sat here with you. We've had this dialogue, and then you decide to call it in. I don't know. I'm really not happy, excited about his professionalism right now. So I would like to pull out the county internal auditor's review and schedule it for the next meeting. And I would like to hear from him personally why he was not here today. It's unbelievable that this is how this is happening.
So you are putting in a substitute motion to take this as just the county attorney today and move the county auditor to another meeting?
That's correct. I would like to make that substitute motion, but I would also like to be able to hold a conversation with my fellow commissioners about each individual person, not just approve.
I'll second his
without
motion.
Discussion.
We had lots of seconds. So we had a motion from Commissioner Flores. The first second I heard was from Commissioner Woodward. So, and I've got lots of lights on. So Commissioner Powell, your light was next, actually.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that
Or hold on one second. I apologize. Commissioner Flores, you open to this discussion. Would you like to add some input now or? Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll agree with Commissioner Flores. I think that if the auditor is going to be evaluated, we should have some open dialogue, and he should be here as well. With that being said, I've seconded his motion, and I want to make sure that I'm on the record to indicate that I agree with Commissioner Flores. If we're going to move forward, then the auditor should be here. Thank you.
Would you like to offer comments on the county attorney, or do we continue discussion about the auditor who's not here? Well, we should. So we can.
Madam Mayor, we can schedule that at a separate date, and we will get with the auditor today to get that back on the agenda as a separate item.
Okay, so we will have discussion about the county attorney, but not about the auditor. Okay?
Okay.
Since we have a motion on the table for the county attorney, I don't want to have the motion and the second and then all in favor, because then we won't have discussion. All right? Okay.
My motion was just to separate the two, and then we'll take the attorneys afterwards.
Okay. All right, we had a motion and a second. All in favor on the motion of separating, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. I heard Commissioner Sachs said aye from the kitchen. So that would carry 7-0. Now we will take the item of just the county attorney. So I got lots of lights on. Vice Mayor, your light is on.
It's my turn. Thank you, Mayor. So I want to thank Commissioner Flores for separating out the two. I share his sentiment. We scheduled this date, I believe it was in January.
Yes.
So he had plenty of notice to schedule time around this date, and I find that concerning. So, but not to belabor that, because we have voted to bring that back at a later date. As far as the county attorney, I have gone through the reviews, I think that I have had several questions and concerns, and there's many great things that our county attorney does. It's a big job with a lot of responsibility. And for the most part, I would say that I don't know that I'd want your job. But I will say that there are some areas that I had concern regarding. I've spoken to other municipality councilmen and women who have shared, and this has been a topic for discussion, that they've had more settlements brought to them within 6-month period than we've had since I've been on this board. I feel like we need, as a board, to be more involved in the discussions, in what's going forward, and in settlement procedures. I would like to see more dialect, more regular meetings, and to just be updated in a more, I think you, as a new board member, it might be hard to know what's important to us, but as you learn what's important to us, and especially specific topics, just to keep us very informed and very on top of that, so we're not chasing. Another issue I have is we get thousands of emails. So just a simple email isn't always, I think, the best form of letting us know. Picking up the phone and calling us, leaving a message if necessary, is also another way. Most of us text up here. That as well, just so that the communication doesn't get lost in thousands of emails. I've had some staff, and this isn't directed at just your department, who, when I've asked for information, they send it to my staff and never send it to me. I find that concerning. I think a commissioner should always be copied on anything that's emailed out, especially, if it's an individual person asking for it. But other than that, I mean, I would say again, that's where I stand, and I want to say thank you for a thankless job. And I'll leave it to the rest of my fellow commissioners.
Commissioner Sachs.
I want to bolster what my colleagues have said about the attendance of the county internal auditor. And I find what's interesting is that in the performance evaluation, which I have studied very carefully, one of the issues that came up was that he didn't meet with us regularly. Well, where is he today? If he doesn't meet with us regularly, this is an indication maybe he should be here today, especially since that was one of the criticisms that was received by my colleagues to him. Also because he's asked for additional pay, which would be very important for him to be here, or at least to let me know and let my colleagues know with a call. I think that's important. With regard to Ms. Kaufman, I personally really respect Ms. Kaufman. I would like to hear from her today. Afterwards, we have all spoken. Of course, I have some criticism, otherwise I wouldn't be here. I'd like to see a county attorney work as the client is the county and not staff. Staff may have their own attorney, but I'd like to see the county attorney's client is the people of this county. And I think that's important because the client is the most important. As an attorney for many years, I know the client is the most important part of the attorney-client relationship. And I have found that to be lacking with this office. I have tremendous respect for many of your assistant county attorneys. One who I'm looking at right now is Strati, as well as, and I've just forgotten her name, if you could help me, Ms. Kaufman, she is your litigator. Who is that? The litigator and who worked on the ski lake and helps.
Shannon Fox.
Yes, Shannon, she's great. She helps us with animal care and control. She's aggressive, which all litigators should be aggressive. And she does her job very well. So, as my colleague said, it's a job that is difficult. But I think that the focus has to be always on who your client is, not staff, but the people of this county. And I think that's an important part of your job. And at the end of it, if you don't mind, I'd like to hear from you, because it's about you and your staff as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. And I agree a lot with what has been said. Thank you. I went through and looked at all of our evaluations together, and mine was my personal relationship with you. We have cell phone numbers. I call you. Probably sometimes you wish I didn't. And you do always take my calls, and I appreciate that. And the staff is always accessible to me, and maybe not at the moment that I want it, but there are 7 of us in a big county. I see that. I think there was a bit of board consensus on the reporting part of it, and and that's going to be a discussion also for the auditor, because I agree. Emails aren't always the best way. It's one-on-one conversations are the best way for myself, and I believe it seems consistent with us that we all agree more in-person meetings, or even at least phone calls, because writing stuff is, well, we have to be very careful with what we write, and you have to be careful with what you write to us as well. But having those meetings, and even with different department or different attorneys when they come in, those meetings are very beneficial for myself, and I'm sure all of us, is that we're on the same page, and we understand sometimes when we're veering into policy discussions and decisions that are within our purview, and then sometimes when it's getting to, well, there's a state statute that will limit this, or even the federal regulations. Those are very important for us to have those conversations with you, and it's those types of conversations that typically bring that information out, and it's not going to come out in a written document. And I admit we all get a lot of emails, and I'm not going to make it through all of them. And even if I do read it, I don't always really understand. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't speak legal. That's why we have our conversations with you. So I think that was pretty consistent across the board, where there's different areas where each of us maybe have different issues, or really good interactions and maybe not so good. But that one kind of stood out to me when I looked at what everyone did have to say. And again, it's just that type of interaction that is important for us to have with you and with your department, because Mr. Adi coming in to discuss things, and when it comes to contract negotiations or other stuff that's happening, having you in our offices to speak on this, it's important. Please keep what we're doing, and if as much as possible expound on those. That would be my big takeaway for the coming year. It is a tough job, where there's a lot happening in this county, and a lot of people looking to potentially sue us, and ways that we can get ourselves into trouble as well. So that's very much your job, and to keep us on track with our charter, continue to speak up, any of your department to speak up if we're veering into getting ourselves into trouble. That's part of your job, to keep us where we need to be. Outside of that, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. And without belaboring a lot of the comments that my colleagues have shared, I think number one is communication, personal communication in regular updates. So I think in my evaluation, I had put down suggesting quarterly meetings with us would be beneficial. Something that I think that I've talked about, and I know HR is going to be working on, and because in understanding and evaluating, as it relates to your staff, I don't have an opportunity to really understand how you interact with them or not, so it's not an area I could really comment on in this evaluation. So suggested, that the 360s be put in place. So again, no big surprise there. The one thing I think I would also encourage, though, is that you encourage your staff to be able to speak up to us and tell us when we're wrong. I know there's a reluctance, and trust me, if I was sitting in their seats, I wouldn't want to be sitting on the other side of the table. But at times, we are wrong, and I know your people try and, or They're trying to be as gentle as they can, but sometimes we just need to be really direct, and they need to be empowered to be able to be direct with us and let us know if we're veering off course, because ultimately you're keeping us, you're protecting us, you're protecting the county and the taxpayers. And so I think I want to make sure that staff is empowered to be able to be direct with us.
Commissioner Flores.
Yes, I do echo a lot of the sentiments that the fellow board members have shared here. My relationship with you has been shorter. I've only been here 6 months. And we've had our differences. We've had dialogue. We've talked, and we have moved forward. I genuinely think that you're a true professional. I think you have a world of knowledge, and I do appreciate that. For my previous role, I've had a relationship with a city attorney, so I understand what that looks like. But echoing some of my fellow commissioners, I do want to have more communication with the attorney on a regular basis. It could just be you simply swing by and we just talk. Doesn't have to be on a weekly basis, but it could be on a monthly basis. If there's anything that's coming that presents red flags, maybe you bring it up to us. You have more of an active role. I do appreciate that you have your team, Mr. Audie and a few of the other attorneys that participate, and they do come and inform us on whether there's litigation or other issues that might be arising. So I do appreciate that. But we also want to I do want to have more involvement from this board and more communication, open dialogue with the attorney. So, and from looking, most of your ratings were between 3.5 to 4. So I'm very content, and I think there's only room for improvement in strengthening this relationship. So thank you for your work, and I think you're doing a wonderful job with your team. Thanks.
Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Attorney Kaufman, thank you for your service. You are a valuable part of this team. I, like Commissioner Flores, have only been here for a short amount of time, less than 7 months. But in my time and tenure here, I can appreciate the information that you have provided for us and provided to me. And you and your team have come to my office to make me aware of things that were problematic that may be on the agenda, things that could be coming up, whether they are here or not. When you're aware of them, making sure we're notified. So I'm thankful for that, and I thank you for your professional relationship. Not sure if there are things that are in the air that need to be landed. If they need to be landed, if there's a way to do that, then I would suggest working on that. But I think your team does an excellent job. The entire staff, that I've had the opportunity to interact with since I've been here. If anything changes, I'll be sure to let you know. But I believe in the open lines of communication. I'm not an attorney. I don't envy your job because you have to make a lot of interpretations from statute, from laws that you see, and figure out the best way to move forward, and that can be challenging. I've dealt with attorneys in Tallahassee, whether they are general counsel or on the House or Senate floor, and I've dealt with attorneys. I've got in-house general counsel as well, so I'm always careful of in-house litigation. I mean, like inside of my house. So I'm very careful. But I want to thank you because I believe one of the most important jobs that you have is to make sure that we are doing what we can do legally. And, some of us look good in stripes, but pinstripes, not bars. So just make sure as we continue to move forward, you keep us in that direction. And the only time I like to wear orange is when I put it with that green of those rattlers. Orange and green, not orange by itself. No, but I thank you, and you're a valuable part of this team. I thank you for your hard work and dedication. And I look forward to continuing to work with you in the future. And if you decide to go somewhere, don't until I leave, okay? Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores.
Yeah, I have a question, and it's not regarding the attorney, but it's more for our HR folks, Mr. Can. What I noticed was that when we were doing the evaluations, when it came down to staff, a lot of us were hesitant to answer because we don't have that interaction. It's more from a top-down approach review that we're doing. As we move forward, how do we solicit some of staff's input so that we are better able to understand that? Because from our standpoint, we weren't going around asking employees, oh, well, what's your relationship with these different roles? So how do we make this work so that we get a good understanding of how staff is, what their view is, their overview? Are they being treated fair? Are they being, I don't know. I guess that's a question to you, because I know that when we do a 360 encompasses everybody. I don't know that we need to go to a 360, but how do we solicit some input from staff?
I do have a slide that we can go over this time, or we can wait until we finish with the county auditor to talk about those next steps. But I will say at the March 11th meeting, there was a conversation amongst the board about a 360. A 360 doesn't have to involve everybody. It typically, especially if an organization this size, it involves a sampling of different levels of the organization who have that direct relationship.
I guess that was my question, and I guess how do we move forward?
So we would use a sampling we would use a 360, but a sampling.
Is that part of the motion?
So we're going to approve that?
So we can amend the motion, but we've already had the motion of a 360, two votes back, I think. So I don't think we need to amend the motion. Vice Mayor Baxter, your light is on.
Actually, it's what I was going to ask. So we voted to separate the county attorney from the county auditor. We still have, so we are going to, do we still need to approve just A, including only the county attorney? And do we need to authorize, 6C2B for the attorney? So I move to approve 6C2A, including just the county attorney, and B, to authorize the Department of Human Resources to file a copy of the results into the prospective employee file.
Second.
Thank you. I will go ahead and actually make some comments, since I didn't make any comments, correct? For the attorney, the Commissioner Weiss was very on point when he said, sometimes you need to tell us what we don't want to hear. We do not want to spend taxpayer dollars by being in a lawsuit because we voted some way, but it wasn't the right way. So I would wholeheartedly say that staff needs to say, if we're going down the wrong path, we need to know we're going down the wrong path. I don't want to waste anybody's time, plus taxpayer dollars on litigation. The board is your client, as Commissioner Sachs said, that at the end of the day, we're the ones that are making the decisions. So the hard decisions are hard, but we need to make sure that we have as much information as possible. And if it is that we want to go left and legally we have to go right, you need to tell us legally you have to go right, because if you go left, here's what's going to happen. So that would be one of the things but I put that in my review as one of my concerns. And it's just because we need protection. As in the global perspective, we need protection. We have a motion and a second. We have one card.
Alexandria Larson.
Commissioners, you need to go back and watch yourselves at the meetings. watch what you've said, and remember what you've said. I'm not all of you, but I mean, the evisceration of Virginia Baker that I got called in to come downtown right now, Alex. You need to do matters by the public. I mean, the county attorney is your attorney, not the taxpayer's attorney. She's there to protect you. And people don't understand that. I've tried to tell them for years. She is the county attorney, county commissioner's attorney, because that's what she is. She's here to protect you. Your auditor, you spent a long time arguing his pay, so he probably thought he didn't need to be here today. I would have thought so. Because a large amount of time, but we are the evaluations of the employees. I don't think it should be an evisceration of an employee, because that has happened up here. Go back and watch the meetings, what you've said to different employees, because you only got 3 that you deal with: auditor, attorney, administrator. And for some reason, that's like a free-for-all for some people up there on the dais. And it shouldn't be that way. I would never, I was a manager for 150 years, and I didn't ever eviscerate my crew in front of other crew members. I would give them my opinion. And emails, find another way to connect, have a whole docket, maybe there's a tray that should go around the 12th floor that you all get all the information. We sent out 32 emails today. Here, read them. That's all. I mean, you got to communicate. I know it's hard to not violate sunshine, but let me tell you, one of the phone calls that I received was, did they realize that they showed they violated sunshine today? And that's not a joke. It's not, commissioners, because it is. You talk about things, we don't know what you're talking about. It's a mystery to us. You're on the 12th floor. But truly, try to be nice to your employees, the 3 that you got, because you weren't in several instances. And I don't name names, I don't scold anybody, I don't care. But go back and watch the meetings. I tell people to watch the meeting. I really do, because I don't watch myself sometimes. I'm guilty. But I do try to get the correct information out. I really do. And I say it like I'm under oath every time I walk up here. That way I don't have any problems. So that way, maybe that's how it should work for you. And don't scold constituents, don't scold your employees, and you cannot interact with, I know, Commissioner Flores, you want to interact with the employees so bad, you're biting at the bit. You can't do that. She's protecting you. The administrator protects you. That's why you have an administrator, to protect you. That way no employee can say, Commissioner Flores came up and tripped me today. You know what I mean? Hope you're doing okay.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the table. I do have a question, though. One of the discussions that came up was, how do we want to handle the reviews in the future? I know that they're part of the employment contract for the auditor. It's being written into the employment contract for the administrator. Depending on when the administrator takes that position, I think you asked in my office, how did we want to handle the administrator's portion of this? I don't think that's something we need to discuss today, but that will have to come up in the future when we do the administrator's review. Because if we want to keep all the reviews at the same time, so it's easier just do all 3 reviews at the same time, then the administrator will be less than a year. So that was a discussion that came up in my office. I wanted to share that with the board. So that is not part of here, but just wanted to share it. Vice Mayor Baxter.
Hi. For, I think, consistency purposes, having them all 3 at the same time every year makes a lot of sense, or it'll be like, why are we doing them all separately?
Agreed.
I think we're hoping that even after our vote on the 17th, it won't take a long time for our potential new administrator to take that role. So, I mean, are we splitting hairs over 4 to 6 weeks?
I agree with you.
So, I mean, I would like to see them all stay together. I don't think that needs a motion, but I'll see if anyone else feels differently.
I absolutely agree, because it's, for us to do all of it, to do it 3 times a year, and for Dr. Khan to have to compile it 3 times a year, I think is not necessary. Commissioner Sachs, then Commissioner Woodward.
I like to stick with what we're doing. we're going to vote on, I believe we have a motion for a vote on the performance evaluation of the county attorney. Have we completed that, Mayor, yet?
No, we have not.
Okay.
We're still discussing.
What are we discussing? Okay, the next steps. Can we move forward on the vote? Or is this going to be an open-ended conversation on next steps?
No, this is not going to be an open-ended conversation. It was just a question to staff because it was something that we needed to get out in public, and it is not part of the motion. It was just information, as we all always want more information. So we have a motion and a second, but I still have 2 more lights on after you for discussion.
I'd just like to take a vote on what the motions are, and then we can get into discussion on other issues after we complete what we have started with the county attorney, please. Thank you.
Commissioner Woodward and then Commissioner Flores.
Okay, I think I agree with both the vice mayor and the commissioner. I agree keeping it at the same, all 3 at the same time for consistency. And so we could vote to approve this, authorize human resources, and that this will be all 3 coming back. And then also part of that is that the 360 will be part of that in the future, not just our evaluations. Is that part of this whole vote?
We already did the 360.
Because in my agenda review, that was part of the question, was to verify the next step. Is that not a part of this, or was that just confusion in my agenda review?
That's seeking direction once you voted on the summary for the county attorney.
Okay, so then I would agree we vote for this part, and then whatever the board direction is next.
Commissioner Flores, anything you want to add?
No, I just wanted to give our county attorney, Denise Kaufman, an opportunity to speak. If there's anything that she wants to add or say, I think it's rightfully her time to also give her input.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Flores. And I will start by saying that Commissioner Flores is a direct speaker, and I have no problem with that. He's also a very fair person. And it's very interesting to me, the reviews I found to be extremely thoughtful and careful and very, for the most part, I thought they were on point. So I appreciated the comments, and they're things that I can take and really work on. I heard the comments today. I heard about settlements. I understand that. We can implement that. We will make changes. I understand about the email communication, that we need to have more personal communication, and we can certainly do that. I understand that. So I was a little concerned about the comments about that my client is not administration. I was concerned because I didn't know where that was coming from. I will tell you, in my office, I tell my attorneys constantly that their job is to give you the full information and not have it skewed in a particular direction. That we are, it is not our job to take administration's position. It is our job to make sure you have the full information. So if there are situations when you feel we're not giving you the support and the information you need, then we need to work on that. And I think we can flesh that out a little bit in one-on-one conversations. We do represent administration departments. That is part of our job. So there is that overlap there. But it is our position, and it will continue to be, that the information you get will be complete, and it will be accurate, and it will not be positioned in a way that may favor administration's position, because that's not my job. That's policy is your job. So, but we will work on that. I think I try to empower my staff to be direct. I will tell you that I have a range of attorneys. I have some attorneys who are younger and who are growing and really doing great, but it's going to take them a little bit more time to feel confident. I have other attorneys who are quite direct, and as you all know, I can be a little overly direct. And I am going to work on that, and I appreciate the comments. I appreciate your patience. I will take it very seriously, and I will let you know that when you question something, I take it back to the office and I double check it and triple check it. I really do. Even though I feel very confident about my opinion with you, I go back down to my office and I am having somebody else look at it because I take it very seriously. And I have no problem telling you that I was wrong and this is what it really is. So I just want to give you everything you need to do your job. I am surprised that the review process was not as painful as I thought it would be. And that I really appreciated the time. I could tell that some people took a lot of time to do this very thoughtfully. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so in reference to the 360, which we already said we were going to do, but with a sampling, that was a discussion a while back. We have a motion and a second on the table to approve 6C, 2A, and B. And we took only the attorney. So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that that motion carries 7-0. Anything else you need from us?
We covered the first one, which is direction on the timing. So the next performance evaluation remaining on the same time will cover from March 1st of this year to February 28th of next year. We will start doing the work on 360 software for that implementation. And then recommendation for future evaluations is that any newly hired contractual employee needs at least a certain amount of time in the position before receiving a performance evaluation.
Okay, Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. I think one other thing that I think would be beneficial for the folks receiving these evaluations, and that's an opportunity for us to go over those evaluations with them in person as well. Because I have my view, but I don't know that, I may have it wrong too. I may misunderstand something, and I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to speak to me about it. So if that can be something that we can include, and if people don't want to do it, that's fine, but I'd like to have that opportunity to present my evaluations directly to them.
And part of a 360 does include a self-evaluation for those individuals.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Do you have any input into at least the amount of months?
I'm fine with that.
6?
Yeah, no problem.
6 months? Okay. Commissioner Flores? No, I'm sorry, Commissioner Sacks and then Commissioner Flores.
I agree with Commissioner Weiss. Is that something that is going to be part of the new process? Is that we'll have an opportunity to discuss it with them?
I would say that would be a motion, a direction from the board.
I just want to make sure that that was done and received.
The direction from the board so far is that next year when we're doing this, that each of us gets to sit down with the three folks and discuss the review.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that before it's completed,
Yes,
or
I think-
after
well,
we have a summary?
If I may, Mayor,
Sure.
Mayor Marino, the points that Commissioner Weiss made were correct, in that these evaluations should be, in a sense, to discuss these issues with the employee. And correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Weiss, but I think this is a little bit like changing our mode of looking at it in a evaluation. What can we do better? How can you, as one of the three employees, do better for my district? And I think that that is incredibly important, and that's the whole focus of an evaluation is how we can work together with these three county employees for improvement rather than for anything else. And so I would just want to make sure that Commissioner Weiss's suggestion is made, if it's okay with my colleagues, made part of the process going forward. Mayor, that was what I was.
So Commissioner Weiss, your point is to have this done before we fill out the evaluation form or after the review?
Well, for me, it's after I've filled out the form to sit down with them and then go over it, and before I turn it in.
Okay.
That's where I would see it happening in the process.
All right, thank you. Does that work?
Yes,
Okay.
make sure that was
Commissioner Flores.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Weiss's comment to have that. If we're going to include a self-evaluation as part of the 360, which I think that's probably the only thing that was missing through this particular process here, there should be an opportunity for us to sit down and sort of compare their review to ours. And I think there should be that opportunity to do the one-on-one. The dates, I would just say maybe we can roll it forward another month, because between February 28th and June, it's like 3 months will go by between the performance evaluation schedule according to this. I don't know that we need 3 months, maybe 2, maybe 45 days. I think we can all come together and put it all together. So maybe end it, I don't know, April 31st. That's just my 2 cents, just because I feel like between February or March 1st to June, it's, it's a big time in between. And then the last one, I think what we said, 6 months?
A minimum of 6 months.
Is it 6 months? I would agree with that. Thank you.
Commissioner Woodward?
Thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Flores, for bringing my attention to the March 1st date. I'm just curious, if we keep this moving forward with elections and term limits, there will be turnover. So we would have new commissioners coming in the end of November and would begin, or would they be evaluating on 3-4 months experience with this person? Should we address the timing to make sure that a new commissioner coming in would have at least 6 months on the job? Is that what? So May, if we take it to May, just so that any future new commissioners, when they come in, would have 6 months?
I'll pipe in and say I agree with that.
Okay.
So we'll move it forward. So a new commissioner is going to take their seat the third week in November. So at least give 6 months on the job for them to get to know who that is. And so then instead of the March, make it May. Yeah, the end of May. Okay. That would be 6 months. So I think that would be direction from the board. Is there anything else? So this way we get 6 months for the newly electeds, and we get 6 months if there is a new hire. Anything else from?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a hard stop at 1. The next agenda item is going to take us a little more than 20 minutes. Do we want to just go to lunch?
Madam Mayor, would you mind if we move the at-large appointment up so we're not making them sit here all the way through everything till the end?
If I could comment on that?
Sure.
Oh, I had nominated someone for an at-large appointment and just texted him to not worry about coming until 3 o'clock. So as we were stopping at 1. So if the board does not want to hear from the nominee, that is the board's decision. But
I mean, I don't think it's right that the nominee that has been here all day waiting has to wait till 3.
it's the board's decision, but I looked at the agenda and it was the last item on the agenda. So I informed that nominee that they would be after matters by the public. It's the board's decision, but you should know that someone is planning to come this afternoon, but if you'd rather not hear from the nominee, that is your call.
Any other comments?
There was a second, so I guess we should vote on that, if hearing it now.
Who was the second?
Commissioner Flores.
Okay. Any other comments? So we Commissioner Sachs wants to go to lunch and not talk about this. I'm just going to comment and say that this has been sort of a moving target, but at our agenda review yesterday, we all knew that it was going to be moved to the end. So I would support Commissioner Woodward, and this way both representatives could be here. That would be my comment. Anyone else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Nay. That motion carries 5-2. So we will hear item 3J1 now. This is a motion to approve the appointment of an at-large member to the Planning Commission for the term June 4th to June 6th. The name of Selena Samios, at-large, was nominated by Commissioner Vice Mayor Baxter, and the name of Bill Reicheter for the seat required at-large was nominated by Commissioner Woodward.
Madam Mayor, if we could let Selena Samios speak before we comment, would that be appropriate?
Sure.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, the Commission. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity and the nomination. I have spent the last 9 years in public office serving the Western communities. I am fully knowledgeable and advanced in the topic of the discussion as far as the board that I am being commissioned for or appointed for. I would like to say that I have tremendous passion for our area. The community, as we continue to grow and change, is very important, especially in the Western communities. So I would respectfully accept the nomination and would appreciate being nominated. So thank you very much, or voted on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward, you nominated Mr. Reicheter. Would you tell us why?
Yes, I could speak for Mr. Reicheter. I've known him for a while. He has served on a few different boards. Most recently was on the Zoning Commission and had contacted me, was very interested in continuing to serve on zoning or planning. Admits that learning about this process has been great for him working in our county. And when this position came open, I let him know about it. And he said it would be exciting for him to learn on the planning side because he was on zoning, and it would be beneficial to see what happens in our planning. As we all know, when it's a comp plan, that usually comes before zoning. He's a businessman in our community and, personal friend. I think the number of people on this board do know him. It's unfortunate that he can't be here now to speak for himself. I'm sure he would speak for himself much better than I can. But yeah, he is my nominee, and that's it.
Thank you. So at this time, any suggestions for us? And Commissioner Weiss, your light is on.
Thank you. And first off, I want to I know both candidates, known them for quite some time, and I think they're both very well qualified to be considered. But I think it would be helpful if I understood the current board representation as to the geographies where our board members are from. On the Planning Commission. Do we have that information? It might be helpful.
I do not have that handy they're all from within Palm Beach County.
No, I understand that. But as you know, just to make sure that we have a balanced representation into the various geographies. And I know that, the candidates they're well aware of the enormity of this county, but to me, they're both very well qualified, and I'm looking to say, okay, do we have any kind of an imbalance? I see Whitney is out there. Does she happen to know?
I do have a question. Is this one of the boards where we each have 2 appointments to this board?
Right.
And is this one of the ones that one of the restrictions is that the person we appoint has to be within our district?
No.
No, not the
Okay.
No.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to help make a decision on these two.
Ms. Carroll?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
It was, where are there commissioners geographically within the county? Is there any area that's maybe overrepresented or underrepresented?
commissioner has 2 appointments. Each commissioner has 2 appointments to the Planning Commission. So, and mostly those generally lie within their districts. So that's it's pretty well proportioned throughout the county. But the at-large members do not have to be.
How many of them do we have?
14.
14 at large?
Oh, at-large. You know, one. 15.
And to your question, Commissioner, in the applications, we might have addresses, whether it's business addresses or home addresses. What we track in the directory doesn't include that information. Could we put it together? Yes, but don't maintain it.
Commissioner Flores, your light was on, and then Commissioner Sachs.
Yeah, so I guess my comments are regarding Ms. Samios. She's someone who I've known from the community for a very long time. We have actually sat on a couple of boards together, the League of Cities. She was an elected official at Royal Palm, so she knows the work that goes into this particular job, and I would feel very comfortable her voting based on the different projects and requirements of this particular board. So I am endorsing, or I will be voting for Selena.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs, you had your light on, turned it off, and...
It was very, yeah, I know, on and off. I was just thinking that it was good to have the question by Commissioner Weiss as to the geographic, but knowing that we all have 2 selections, and I'm sure that we should select people who are representative of the issues of our district. So I respected that, and it's fine. I don't know either person, but I am sure that either one would do a good job, I'm sure. But it was nice to hear that we have a representative at large for the Western communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mayor. I've had the opportunity to work with Ms. Samios as well. And as she represented Royal Palm Beach and on other boards, I'm in support of her candidacy. I want to thank her for being here, and also just thank you for your service and your previous role. It's good to see you.
Thank you. So what I'll do is take a roll call vote, or I'll have the clerk do a roll call vote for who they would like to see in that seat.
Commissioner Flores?
Ms. Samios.
Commissioner Powell?
Selena Samios.
Commissioner Sachs? Commissioner Wise?
Selena Samios.
Commissioner Woodward?
Bill Reicheter?
Vice Mayor Baxter?
Selena Samios.
Mayor Marino?
Selena Samios. Thank you. Ms. Samios, welcome to the board. And Commissioner Woodward, thank you for submitting another name. It's always nice to have choices. All right, so now I will, if it's okay with the board, we will...
10 minutes early?
Yes, we will take a break to go have lunch. We will be back here at 2 for Matters by the Public, and immediately following Matters by the Public, we will take up the rest of the agenda. Thank you so much. We'll see you at 2.
Thank you, Mayor, for that.
Extra 10 minutes.